Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. You know very well about Unacademy. This is India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? Ladies and gentlemen, if that's going to be your question, yes, you got daily live classes. You can chat with your educator. You can engage in all-round productive discussions, and you can also ask all your genuine doubts and participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do when the session is going on. You got structured courses here, which is completely based on UPSC civil service examination pattern and syllabus as well, so that you never get deviated from the expected framework. You stay on track. We save your time and energy. Ladies and gentlemen, one particular thing, we are keep on emphasizing, of course, it's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff, because delivery matters. And it's not what you deliver, rather how do you deliver. Yes, for that, we have got a mechanism to evaluate your preparation at various levels by conducting regular mock tests and quiz programs. And you get, that in turn, a detailed analysis, a report. Based on your performance, you come to know where you are strong, where you are weak, the time you have consumed in solving a particular question. Ladies and gentlemen, not only that, once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, you got access to unlimited access, especially for more than 1 million videos, part of Unacademy. Whatever may be your electronic device, whether it is mobile phone, laptop, desktop, irrespective of your electronic device, you can learn from anywhere, anytime. Yes, what you have to do for that, please download Unacademy learning app immediately. Whether it is Android or iOS, ladies and gentlemen, once you download, you are ready to access all those benefits what we shared with you now. Who is this interacting with you? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is Success Sampath from Chennai with unique experience of got exposed to the fields of engineering, management and legal education. With 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially shaping the careers of civil service aspirants, with my team, I could witness the humble result. All my kids are working in different parts of India as IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, and some of them in abroad as well. Part of, Union External Affairs Ministry, you might be aware. And you can also ask me, I understand your mind was, what's your vision, sir? If that's going to be your question, ladies and gentlemen, to be part of the solution, not to complicate, to simplify the complexity rather. To begin with, to embrace, that the Indian use, that providing career solution, later to embrace the global community. Fortunately, this particular vision of mine is completely in alignment with Unacademy's vision. We are working together. Together, we are building communities. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also reach me through Telegram channel, say using my ID, Unacademy_Sampath, or that lot of my videos already available on the part of Unacademy, especially YouTube channels. Even having downloaded the app, also you can watch all my videos there. Use my ID, say Success Sampath or Sampathir Vengitam, to reach me there, to watch all those my videos, whether it is optional subject, sociology, or say ethics and integrity, part of, that your GS mains, or even essay paper, and also international relations. All, that subjects for which, that mostly, that the videos available, mostly what the subjects I mentioned in front of you. You please watch them and get benefited. Not only that, you can also reach me through social network, so that you benefit more. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. It's not only me. We more than 100 plus top educators of India with 20 to 25 years of, that experience in the chosen field. Of course, this field with subject matter expertise, we are waiting to shape you so that you become an officer or leader in your own capacity. Under UPSC Civil Service Examination, ladies and gentlemen, we've got more than 15,000 courses. Subject-specific module, duration-specific module. Yes, great things will take time. Yes, it is empire-building process. Definitely. Because, there is no leadership without your passions. Tamil ஒரு saying இருக்கு. There is a saying in Tamil. பொறுத்தார் பூமி ஆழ்வார். Eh? It is that way. So what is the point? It's not only that, that there is no leadership without your passion, without your involvement, without your consistency, without your focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we understand all those parameters. Once you become IAS or IPS, IFS officer, ladies and gentlemen, you be, that part of, the steel pillars of Indian administration for the next 25 to 30 years of wonderful career. You are here not for job. You are here for your career. You are going to be officer. You are going to be an officer or leader in your own capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not just survival mechanism. This is all about excellence mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the reason we expect you to devote your next 2 years. 1 year for your preparation, 1 year for your pattern of examination. Keeping all those things in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we have devised, two programs, Plus program and Iconic program under UPSC Civil Service Examination category. The Plus program, what it is, you've got daily live classes like this and test series mechanism, unlimited practice session, structured schedule mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, starting from 1 month to maximum 36 months, we've got program. Why? You can ask me. You may be college going aspirant, maybe doing first year graduation. Only when you enter final year, you become eligible to appear at the prelims level. But in the first attempt itself, you can become, the topper. You can get, that IAS, IPS. How? Because, you have to start preparing. That demands your proactiveness. So you can plan accordingly, for 3 years. It is that way. Maybe there are some work-going aspirants. You may be part of IT also. You're running short of time. But who asked you to stress yourself? Because learning is fun. You plan accordingly. Let it be flexible plan. That is the reason from 1 month to 36 months, for which we have got program. Please use my referral code say success to avail maximum 10% discount. It works almost this way. 9,000 rupees difference benefit you get. More than this Plus program, ladies and gentlemen, we strongly recommend Iconic program. Why? You will be allotted a personal coach, a mentor to understand your nature and to suggest study planner, accordingly. Maybe you personalize or customize the study planner. Ladies and gentlemen, though it is virtual learning, it is almost like individual attention. Someone is there to monitor you, to understand you, and to correct you by providing genuine feedback and to transform you. So that is, that the unique feature on the part of this Iconic program. Ladies and gentlemen, here too you got, the 12 months program, 24, 36 months. Please use my referral code say success to avail maximum 10% discount. So, it works this way, ladies and gentlemen. Almost you get 15,000 rupees, that benefit you get once you use my referral code say success and avail 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, that technically speaking, you end up paying mere, 80 to 100 rupees if you calculate in terms of per day basis. Probably the money you spend on your evening snacks as youth. But you ensure your career. It is as simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, so that it's not only that. For all popular optional subjects for which we extend our support on the part of Unacademy. And here too you can use my referral code to avail 10% discount. Almost it works out, you get 5k discount, 5,000 rupees. And also you can that go for prelims cum mains integrated program including optional subject. 11th January we start the new batches. If you're aiming for 2021, hardly 6 months away. You out that apply immediately. The point is that you are likely to get the notification by February. You might be aware. You please go through the plan. And 2022 batch, 2023, whether it is bilingual or exclusive Hindi, exclusive English medium, and all you South Indians, you need not worry, that there are people like us, you don't worry. We as a team, we are ready to take care of you. That don't think, only English or only Hindi medium like that. Pure English medium is available. We will take care of you, right? It is that way. And variety of teams, that on the part of Unacademy, we top educators, we have been waiting to shape you. Whether it is, I repeat once again, whether it is bilingual or that exclusive English medium or exclusive Hindi medium, you can opt this way. UPSC Civil Service Examination prelims cum mains, for GS as well as optional subject. Go for either Plus program or Iconic program. That cutting across this duration. Say for example, if you go for 36 months program, almost you get 42%, that deduction. Almost it works out, that around 40,000 rupees, that discount you get. Please use my referral code, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that not only that, so the very iconic program, as I said in the beginning, because price hike is on the card. As I said, that you will be allotted a mentor, personal coach to take care of your needs, and you will be trained in terms of answer writing practices on an everyday basis. And also, the very study planner according to your nature. And if at all you got some clarifications, if you need over a particular topic, you will be given permission to attend the booster session. And not only that, you will be allowed to participate in the high intensity workshops, so that you join the quintessential club of toppers. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that in that way, that we are going to accelerate your preparation mechanism by giving daily input. Even if you would have already enrolled yourself for variety of programs there, you can also upgrade yourself when it comes to iconic program. You please talk to our team. They are waiting there to support you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Of course, let me take you to the very purpose and direction of today's interaction. Yes, excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, you can also refresh yourself parallelly. Yes, right. This is in continuation of the variety of, that the sessions we had already on the part of, that the subject matter called ethics and integrity, part of your UPSC civil service examination mains. Very well, I'm keep on, emphasizing this in the beginning. Of course, that when you talk about UPSC written civil service examination, main examination, you're going to write for, 1750 marks. This is apart from your language papers. One English compulsory, another one any one of the official languages in India. The marks what you score in languages will not be taken into account. You might be aware. So out of this 1750, what is this? The general studies portion, 1000 marks. You might be aware. So for optional, it is that 500 marks. For essay, that 250 marks. You're going to write 2 essays within 3 hours. That you please watch those videos also already available. I gave you, that even the checklist also, that may be highly helpful to you. Right. So this is optional score, that only one subject, optional subject, that you're going to choose as paper 1, paper 2, 2 into 250, 500. This is essay, but this is general studies. Here you got, 4 papers. Per paper, you will be given, the 250 marks. So the paper 4 is all about the ethics and integrity, the subject we are discussing now. That out of 250 marks, you might be aware 120 meant for the theory papers, 130 meant for the case study. What is this theory? Of course, contribution from various thinkers, philosophers, social scientists of different parts of the world in different time period. Maybe Western moral thinkers, even Indian ethics, and also variety of religions, that Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism. So the contribution from these different sources in enriching the very subject matter called ethics and integrity. Having understood those theories from those contributions, you are going to apply here. That is what called the case study. You can also ask me, ladies and gentlemen, sir, what is ethics, sir? Ethics is all about your standard, the principles, the value system you believe in. Whenever you are perplexed, whenever you are confused, you are guided by them. There comes ethics to rescue. It's otherwise called an instrument of social control. You are regulated. You are controlled so that there will be social order. As an individual, you are getting discipline. As an organization, as an institution, as communities, as a society, there will be social order or peace. That's prerequisite for prosperity or economic development. Then there will be all-round happiness. This is not the only instrument of social control, because we witness, that variety of social control mechanisms. What are all those? You might be aware. Magic in the hunting and food gathering society. Religion, the traditional agrarian society. Then, that in the industrial revolution, of course, the industrial society, the role of science, the outcome of the science, of course, you call, the logical connectivity where you ultimately get law. So the variety of social control mechanism, magic, religion, and law, legal mechanism. But when you talk about law, as even Max Weber said, the Max Weberian bureaucracy, that all officials are that becoming iron cage trapped individuals. Even that when Prime Minister Modi ji introducing that lateral entry, that the people in different walks of life with subject matter expertise, wonderful experience on the part of administration, they were roped in. And some of the, but establishment, the people who already joined, officials, maybe even retired civil servants, that started expressing, that some difference of opinion over there. Why Modi ji brought that, lateral entry scheme? Because, that the red tapeism, procedural delay, these guys, that became part and parcel of the system, part and parcel of the corrupt mechanism. So, what are all the intentions of the, the policy makers? It is not percolating down to the masses. The system, that as, even Markandeya Katchi, that the Justice Markandeya Katchi, former Supreme Court, that the judge, he used to say, the whole system got dilapidated. They have to be destroyed. A new system should be rebuilt. Of course, that Modi ji, the thought of that, of course, but, senior civil servants said, that we were about to discharge, but our hands were tied, no. These political leaders did not allow us to discharge, no. Taking moral responsibility, you should have resigned. Don't you have guts? Don't you have courage? So, survival mode. So, you are for that excelling in your chosen field, right? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, it's not blaming anybody, but hate the sins, not the sinner. I'm talking about. That's the answer ultimately. So, but somewhere you have to survive. It is that way, that we are talking about, it is that way. So the law has got its own limitations, rigidity. That maybe, that as Weber said, the Weberian bureaucracy, the iron cage trapped individuals, you are unable to move freely, this side, that side, according to that GO, according to Supreme Court judgment, according to this, that the recommendations of commission, according to this article, according to this amendment, according to, that resolution on the part of, international organization. You got variety of limitations, but ethics, there comes ultimately ethics, that a form of instrument of social control, especially belonging to knowledge based society. Arivarnda samudayattai uruvakuvade engal nokam. In that knowledge based society, this is a law belonging to industrial society. In the knowledge based society, that you might be aware, the predominantly the service sector domination you witness there. And it's not waiting for enforcing agencies, because there is judge in you. There is judge in you that's guiding you, your inner voice. You listen to your intuition. You listen to your inner voice. Otherwise, you know how to perfectly balance between brain and heart. So this knowledge-based society, of course, all the crime rates will come because people would have become mature, cultured, where you don't need, that surveillance mechanism or enforcing agencies. Why? The very belief, strong belief in value system, strong commitment towards principles, unwavering commitment to the very standards of the society. Because the socialization mechanism is very strong. And both, that internalization on the part of individual and institutionalization on the part of the society working very well. Of course, people are never compromise the character, never compromise the personality. And that's a scenario. So ethics, that as instrument of social control, regulating the behavior of the society, belonging to knowledge-based society, which is more than law. Why? It is not compromising law. Why? That you needed ethics, because the law itself has got some sort of limitations, rigidity, but you want to be part of solution. That it is that way. Ethics and integrity, ladies and gentlemen, you understand, that we are talking about this. This is otherwise called, I spoke many times, it is called written interview. It is called anticipatory socialization. Each and every case study, that you're expecting, putting you in a particular situation. From there to look up, look at everything. Each and every, that a situation. As a home secretary, even my brother there in, there in Rajasthan as home secretary, we feel very proud. Hope, my younger guy, doing fantastic things there. I hear wonderful stories. Fantastic. But that, as a home secretary, as a district magistrate, as SP, as that a DGP, as IG, as cabinet secretary, chief secretary, maybe my uncle, of course, the principal secretary. What I'm talking about, from that position, that what you would have done. If you were, because they will give you some sort of ethical dilemmas, a conflicting situation, a contradictions. If you were there, what you would have done. So before you reach that particular position, that the question paper, especially the UPSC Civil Service Examination, the mains, especially GS4, ethics and integrity, putting you in that particular position, expecting your ethical solution. It's highly motivating, no? It's energizing, no? If you would have become Home Secretary, what you would have done? Wow, that's fantastic. This is otherwise called anticipatory socialization. Before you reach that position, you are socialized by the question paper. It is that way. That's very thing, that we are talking about. Though it is more than law, it is not compromising law. But at the same time, it is not too ideal. It is practical, pragmatic, and flexible. So that is why you needed this instrument of social control. I think this brief introduction is enough for you, ladies and gentlemen. But this ethics, when I'm talking about a value system, a different set of values you're going to practice, cutting across different domains. Maybe you got the basic human values one set. Maybe where you talk about, that, of course, I told you many times, I believe, right? TRLPJ, the code I've given you. TRLPJ. What is that? Truth, responsibility, love, peace, justice, or fairness. Basic human values, or ethics in personal relation, maybe ethics in social relation, where we speak about the recommendations of Nolan Committee, of course, SI, OA, OH, L. What is that? Selflessness, integrity, openness, that accountability, objectivity, honesty, leadership. And also the same way, that this is not restricted to humanity alone. Even the non-human environment you can apply for all species, where you speak about environmental ethics and obligation towards other species, where we say, that stewardship. As I said, variety of ethics, anthropogenic factor, that you say responsible for global warming. Of course, anthropocentrism, biocentrism, environmental racism, environmental justice, those ethics we are talking about. And also ethics in public administration. We gave another formula also, that LCR, ITF, UNAC. I would have told you many times. Please watch those videos. Otherwise, introduction itself will consume 1 hour, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand there are some newcomers, that let me take you to the topic of the today's, the discussion. That's very important. Of course, if you want, of course, let me know that, you should not feel disappointed. LCR, ITF, UNAC 5. UNAC, sir, what is this UNAC? Yeah, come on, just code. You have your own code, it's up to you. So, that law, commitment, responsibility, integrity, transparency, fusion, excellence, utilitarianism, national interest, equity, compassion, sensitivity. All that anonymity, even. You should not compete with politicians for popularity or publicity. Keep yourself low. மூர்த்தி சிறிதா இருக்கணும், கீர்த்தி பெருசா இருக்கணும். You don't run for publicity. But ஞாயிறை கையில் மறைப்பாரில், ஞாயிற்றை கையில் மறைப்பாரில். You can't hide the sun. என்னதான் பண்ணாலும் வந்துரும். There is a saying. ஞாயிற்றை, ஞாயிறு means sun. ஞாயிற்றை கையில் மறைப்பாரில். There is a saying. What is there inside will come out. Nobody can stop. You are unstoppable. Even people trying to oppress you, suppress you, nobody can stop you. You will definitely, because that is what the point we are talking about. Even if nobody believes in you, if you believe yourself, still you will reach the finishing line. It is that way I'm talking about, that as a, that civil servant of India, if your service is going to be fantastic, that you will be recognized by the society in appropriate time. But for, don't, the doing everything not for the sake of somebody else's recognition. Don't worry. Nishkama karma, Bhagavad Gita, en kadan pani seidhu kittappadi. It is renunciation in action, not renunciation of action. We are talking about it that way. You will come to know. So anonymity. Keep yourself anonymous. That don't compete. I never see my uncle in publicity. Even such is the standard. A great, gentleman. Dr. Karthikeyan IAS, part of Tamil Nadu administration, now principal secretary. But I see, some other guys always in social network, comedy piece. But he's, that there are people like that, that. So let them aware of all these things, ladies and gentlemen. So ethics in public administration, and also ethics in, the very international relations we are talking about. The only me attitude, the double standards. Otherwise, strong belief in, that constant some concept of theory. They want to have, 90% of the power, remaining 10% should be shared by all other stakeholders. What is this? But we are not in favor of constant some concept of theory. My success is not your failure, and your success is not my failure. Instead, the success or failure should be evaluated in terms of the meeting of the societal goals, the variable some concept of theory. That's fantastic then. It is not attributing success to individual, to the collectivity. For the maximum happiness, for the maximum people, when you do something for that particular utilitarian principle, you are successful. The society is successful. The nation is successful in that way. I want you to think that way. It is that way. So not only that, the concepts like, that attitude, aptitude, the emotional intelligence. How do you handle your emotion? Even fusion is all about that. How do you gel with others? Even Ratan Tata says, when you walk alone, you may walk faster. But when you walk with your network, you walk far and longer. When the purpose is great, you need a team. And as long when you are after great purpose, the whole universe will conspire in such a way, everything falls in place. Don't worry. When the purpose is great, when the purpose is altruistic, not selfish motive, altruistic, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. That is the point. So in this way, you got variety of value system cutting across variety of domains. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, finally, of course, that this particular ethics, having said that, in the world of, law, having, violated the law, you will be penalized, you will be punished. After that, you feel guilty. But in the world of ethics, even thinking of violating the thought process level, there itself you feel guilty. Wretched. Tannanje tannai chum. Why I thought this way, that moment? The whole Americans thought yesterday, because of Trump's arrogance. There is no smooth transfer of power. And now he's saying he's not going to take part in the ceremony. See, they've grown up, not mentally. That's the point. The oldest democracy has, that witnessed the United States of America, the Banana Republic moment. What happened yesterday? Such is the thing we are talking about. So not even feeling guilty. But Americans felt guilty. Why we chose this guy? It is that way. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about it. So, oh Babre, oh my God. Why I did all these moments? So even thinking of violating, you feel guilty. That's ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Of course, finally, let me take you, that. So this, ethics, what it is, of course, we gave brief introduction, then connecting you with, the syllabus and variety of ethical dilemmas or conflict of interest you witness. We have to, that discuss also then. And also, that I said in the beginning, that the very subject matter of ethics and integrity, how it is getting enriched. Yes, by the contributions from variety of social scientists, thinkers, philosophers, because in that line we discuss Western moral thinkers, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, because knowledge is virtue, they say. So according to Socrates and Plato, knowing is doing, but Aristotle differs from them. No. Knowing is not doing. You have to apply, man. He's very pragmatic. It is that. So Western moral thinkers. Then we took you to, that Immanuel Kant, who said, categorical imperatives. All human beings should be treated as ends, not as means. Transcendental, idealism. He took empirical realism. We spoke. And also John Rawls' theory in the book, theory of justice, hypothetical situation. Of course, to establish a just society, fair society, the hypothetical subjects were given, that information to arrive at, two basic principles. They came up with two principles. What are all those? One is equality principle. Another one is equity principle. Moving from equality to equity is all about ethics. We spoke. That's John Baudelaire, Rawls, otherwise Rawlsianism. We spoke. And also we took into account, the English utilitarians, people like, Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill, where we spoke about, that the very utilitarianism principle, what it says, maximum happiness for maximum people, maybe with minimal damage. Yes, the democracy is all about that. We take into account, that it is that way. So also, that all those things, we also spoke about teleological approach, deontological approach, everything. And then also, that we took you to, that what is the difference between Indian ethics and Western ethics. Indian ethics is all about, that centered around rituals and ceremony. It's a way of life, style of life that so as to reach the ultimate reality. Spiritualism. What you witness in Indian ethics, the core principle, spiritualism, whereas the Western ethics is all about intellectualism. It is that way. We spoke. Even Indian ethics, that Indian philosophy, Indian ethics, what you witness, the very, that Indian ethics got categorized into two: orthodoxy, heterodoxy. In orthodoxy, we spoke about, Mimamsa, Samkhya, Vaisheshika, Vedanta, Nyaya, Yoga. Orthodox, what is Orthodox school? They accept there is God, Astika. There exists, Astika. And also, that according, that supremacy to the caste system and supremacy to the Brahmanism, very well. That's orthodoxy. But heterodoxy just against it. They don't accord, they don't, that accept God. They are called Nastika, just opposite to Astika. They never, accord, that give primacy to, that otherwise most of the thing, anti-Brahmin stand. They don't accept the caste system per se. They don't believe in rituals and ceremonies too. In that heterodox, that we speak about ajivikas, ajnanas, agyan you call, na? Ajnanas. But both could not survive the religious competition that happened between 800 to 200 BC. You might be aware. But then, of course, the Charvaka, of course, what you talk about, the conflict school of thought, the founder of conflict school, the very Karl Marx, materialism, you got, that the very presence of materialism, those days, the contemporary of Mahajanapadas, almost. The Charvakas, that they called Charvakas, that they spoke about, that empiricism, hedonism, atheism, materialism. The only, that Indian school of philosophy, of course, heterodox school, that which promoted hedonism, which approved, hedonism. Pleasure is better than pain. So the Charvakas, of course, that in the Karl Marx world, you talk about, that so the exploitative class system was highlighted. So, that how exploitative class system is responsible for, that a revolution and ultimately establishment of classless communist society or egalitarian society. That is what, that Marxism, the political goal of Marxism. But same essence, but context is different in India. So, in place of the class system, the Charvakas speak about caste system. When Karl Marx said the religion is the opiate of masses, the same way Charvaka said religion is the opiate of masses invented by the Brahmins to maintain their supremacy and within caste system context. So the Marxism found prior existence, but people said it could not survive. I don't agree with that. Everywhere, as long as you believe in science and technology, you are Charvaka. As long as you believe in, that materialism, you are Charvaka. As long as you believe in hedonism, you are Charvaka. As long as you believe in atheism, you are Charvaka. That too, we come to know about Charvakas, through one Donald Bishop of Washington University highlighted about it. So the same way, even the Chanakya, what we are going to talk about, so though it is, that belonging to, that the Maurya administration, that you might be aware, the 350, 325 BC we are talking about, but, we found this, the contribution, the Kautilya, Chanakya, Vishnugupta, only in 20th century. That too by one librarian located that, Ardhashastra. And even the very Ardhashastra itself, called as, that something, that the collection of, writings from different people, including Chanakya, or Chanakya himself wrote separately. There were a lot of speculations we are talking about. So that much, that after a long time we got this. It's a political treatise of the Mauryan administration. We come to know. It's more than, that economic governance, political administration given importance, you might be aware. But Chanakya, that the very, the Kautilya, Vishnugupta, that advisor to Chandragupta, that he is the founder of, that Maurya dynasty. Under Chandragupta Maurya, you might be aware. He is called Prime Minister of, the Mauryan administration. And, the Chanakya, that the very brainy fellow responsible, how, that the very that injustice done to him by the Nanda dynasty. He trained, he made, Chandragupta Maurya as a king. You would have watched a lot of, that read already in your history, everything you might be aware. We're talking about. That is the history we are going to talk about, today. So, that very Ardhashastra, the very Chanakya says, that economic governance is the end. Political governance is the means. And talks about 40 kinds of corruption, embezzlement, swindling of money. Corruption is not modern phenomena. It is ancient phenomena. See, the Mauryan administration itself, it got mentioned. So, variety of subjects over which, his contribution. We are going to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Of course, that when Indian ethics, orthodox, heterodox, we spoke. And even Buddhism and Jainism, we discussed already in what way they were responsible for enriching the subject matter of ethics and integrity. And also we spoke about, Swami Vivekananda. That who spoke about how Hinduism is responsible, for the principles like, the universal tolerance, universal acceptance, tolerance, unity in diversity. And he also accepted all world religions are true. They are different paths to the same destination. The very mesmerizing, the Chicago address, the world, the parliament of religions, you might be aware. So we spoke at length, then after Buddhism and Jainism, I think it is right time, that, we are going to discuss, elaborate, the Chanakya, the Vishnugupta, otherwise called Kautilya, the prime minister of, that Mauryan administration, and otherwise he is said to be, the founder of, Mauryan administration. We are talking about, we are going to discuss, and his, the Ardhashastra, political artha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha, that artha, they talks about, that both, economic and political governance put together. Artha, the Shastra, it's otherwise called political treatise of Mauryan administration. It can be compared with, the Prince, that written, the Prince of, Machiavelli. And the people, only in 20th century people come to know. Hitherto they were thinking that was the master piece when you talk about political realism. Even Max Weber gone to the extent of, comparing the very, the Chanakya with, the Machiavelli. You might be aware. So, that even the US Army colleges, a lot of professors, that the Chanakya got, incorporated as part of the subject. You might be aware. So, they discuss at length, that when they talk about, that non-Western, that thinkers, that how they, that contribute for the war tactics. Apart from Genghis Khan and all those, Middle East leaders, and also, that zoo, that art of war we are talking about. So, that this Chanakya's, contribution is very much relevant. You might be aware. We are talking about, so that is the thing. Not only that, even our, Shivasankara Menon, of course, we are talking about former national, security advisor, gone to the extent of saying, that the importance of, the Ardhashastra. How, the people were, contemplative. Those days, with modern ideas, even what are all the contributions done by, the Chanakya through Ardhashastra, even today it is relevant. Even today it is relevant. Such is the contemplation. We cherish, the world cherishing, the Ardhashastra given by, the Chanakya, the political treatise of Mauryan administration. We are going to discuss, that at length in political governance, in economic governance, how Sam, Bhed, Dan, Dand, and his variety of Niti, Chanakya Niti, we call. Yes, we are going to discuss, and in variety, the various themes, that under which he contributed, and also the codes, because, this is examination point of view, very, very important. You will be given codes based on that, that you have to provide your interpretation, your meaning based on the code, that you have to compare with the rest of the resources. So that is how the questions are asked. That's very important. The couple of codes also we are going to discuss. Finally, the resources to be consulted for this ethics and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. It is the right time. Let me take you to the next level. Yes, I said the variety of ethical dilemmas you witness on your day-to-day life as an individual, in a personal relation, in social relation, as a public servant in public administration, in environmental ethics domain, in the international relations. Whether to that it's almost choosing between either to this or that. Whether to speak in favor of environmental sustainability or to speak that in favor of economic development. Whether to speak in favor of national integration or social solidarity or equilibrium in the society, or to speak in favor of mere economic progress. whether to take asylum in the world of that legal mechanisms, or to speak about fairness or justice, whether to speak in favor of that fundamental rights, that the 12 to 35 as you have part of Indian constitution, or to speak about fundamental duties, because rights and duties go together. கடமையை செய்வதிலிருந்தே உரிமைகள் பிறக்கின்றன. They go together. You don't have right to that speak about your fundamental right if you're not discharging your obligations properly. Right? So it is that way. Don't ask what the nation has done to you. Please ask yourself what you have done to the nation, what you have contributed to the nation. So it's not simply talking about competition, and also talking about compatibility, equity. Otherwise, it's treating all are as if equal. So at the global level, you might be aware the United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change or Global Warming, the Kyoto Protocol, where we talk about collective but differentiated responsibility. Because when you talk about all stakeholders, because their economic size is different, their R&D is different, their defense mechanism is different, their history is different, culture is different, the colonization history is different. How come you can say it's not level playing field? That's why the developed countries, you have reached that level. You share your technology with developing and underdeveloped world, and you have some funding and also spare more time for them to catch up with. Collective but differentiated responsibility. So that's what where we talk about the principle of equity, because lack of compatibility among all nations in the world. When the purpose is great, no doubt we all should come together, all global nations. But the point is that so different mandates for different nations we are talking about. So it's not saying that we all have. So there comes ultimately at the national level also, when we talk about that given widening social inequality, the rich and poor, haves have-nots. The economic development should not be the development of few corporates. Otherwise, the very Keynesian economics, or that you talk about trickle-down theory, everything should work. The growth story should percolate down to the masses. At the end of the day, when it's not happening, what is the use? So growth should not be at the cost of that a section of population also. There should be inclusive governance, taking everybody on board when we talk about growth process. Ladies and gentlemen, that way. So, and also one of the 7 sins according to Mahatma Gandhi, we are talking about politics without principles. Politics per se is a noble profession. That's what Plato says. If you don't take part in politics, that you can't escape. you will be governed by your own inferior. All fools will govern you. That's what I heard. It's not 15,000 crores. It crossed 1 lakh crores corruption per minister in Tamil Nadu. Are you aware? It's not 2 floors in Burj Khalifa. 1 lakh crores. Oh my God. Oh. You're all misguided. Become doctor, engineer. They should have nurtured you from school days. Become politician. Not even corporate guy. You become politician, you can earn up to by corruption 1 lakh crores. That's what happening. Unethicality to the core. So but very politics, you might be aware, it has been adored, honored by overall the people adored, honored the very profession of politics. Mahatma Gandhi ji, Pandit Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose, Karma Veerar Kamaraj, and one minister from Tamil Nadu, Dalit minister especially, Kakkan, see, and one Jivanandam. Even today, one communist leader, people are talking about one Nallakhan. So all we hear, there are a lot of good people, they're there. But the very, that the politics now full of scamsters, the people practice identity politics, ready to go to any extent to capture the power. People like Trump, we got a lot of Trumps in that India. It's not saying only one Trump in the United States of America. So many Trumps are here. Oh my God! So politics without principles, whether to that strictly adhere to politics or strictly adhere to ethics, because it's a negativity. If you that without compromising ethics, if you do politics, that your growth will be limited. People say, but it will transform. It's getting transformed because change is permanent. Right? All young people, that with honesty, coming and joining politics, that now the Parayana Kadidalum, Pudiyana Pugudalum, Vaduvala Kala Vaginani, all the old rut system, the dilapidated system will go away. Don't worry. Have hope. we're talking about. So it is that way. So the social mobility, social progress, it is not mere economic progress with purpose and direction. Is that progress is benefiting all sections of population. So there, that prompts you to go for, special provision for weaker section minority, maybe downtrodden people, Dalit community, in the name of, reservation, protective discrimination, positive discrimination, affirmative action, even freebies getting justified. Women, children, transgender, small and marginal farmers, informal workforce. We're talking about. So equity, it's not equality, equity. It's not mere good governance, mere responsibility, transparency, accountability. That's fantastic. But what about, that ethical governance? You move from economic diplomacy to ethical diplomacy. You move from equality, though Article 14, 15 talking about, the right to equality. 15 talks, Article 15 talking about, Article 15, you watched the movie. Huh? Right. Article 15 talking about prohibition of discrimination in terms of caste, race, gender. You might be aware. But in spite of that, 15 bracket 4, 16 bracket 4, the very articles, nothing in this article, that shall stop, the state or central government from providing for special provisions for weaker section and minorities. So inclusive governance, you talk about financial inclusion, you talk about. Why? Corporate social responsibility, you talk about. Scientific social responsibility, you talk about. So you got variety of ethical dilemma, either to choose this. When you got choices in front of you, you got right and comfort. You are supposed to choose right, not comfort. The moment you choose comfort, when you yield to your, the sensual pleasure, you lose your identity. Even Buddhism says, train your mind. Even all religions saying, being and becoming. That's what religion is all about, being and becoming, self-realization. That expects you to be compassionate. That expects you to practice, humanistic values, even categorical imperatives. You might be aware, and not only that, be kind to every kind, not only mankind. It is that way. So choose right. It's not what I said, you said. What's right according? It's not, in a family, in any organization, there should not be ego clash. What I said, Meri baat suno, that you say, na? Oh my God. It's not I'm saying, Nenu okachari chepte. Oh my God. It's not what I'm saying right or what you are saying right. It's not fighting. The point is, it's ultimately, what is right. That's important. The egoism, should not, that subsume, eat away what is right in that particular occasion. So, the moment you are very conscious, maybe when you are guided by the judge in you, you don't silence your inner voice. That is the reason, having delivered the judgment, 15 years back, the judges started, that lamenting, I shouldn't have delivered that judgment. Ethically speaking, that is wrong. What is the use? So ethics is more than law, but is without compromising law. Why? Because law has got its own limitation, rigidity. That's why you go for another instrument of social control, ethics, which is the subject matter of knowledge-based society. Ladies and gentlemen, so these are all, ethical dilemma. You get perplexed, confused. So ultimately, you take diversion when you are guided ultimately by the very ethics and through its values, principles, standards, cutting across different domains. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is what your prescribed syllabus in UPSC. Of course, the candidate's attitude and approach to issues relating to integrity, probity in public life, and your problem-solving approach to the various issues and conflicts. Of course, that's what, the case study you witness, and to be part of the solution. This is what the syllabus is otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, otherwise you see the very syllabus in terms of titles, ethics in a personal relation or ethics in social relation, you call emotional intelligence, and ethics in public administration, and contribution from various thinkers, philosophers, social scientists. This is what, we brought Chanakya here, the Kautilya Vishnugupta, who wrote, that the political treatise of the Mauryan administration, of course, the Ardhashastra, that can be compared with, the Prince of Machiavelli, in political realism, you might be aware. So, and probity in governance, and all those theories and concepts, when you apply in practical sense, of course, you call, the case study. Ladies and gentlemen, the elaborated detailed syllabus you can download. Otherwise, from Unacademy, the website, you can get the help there. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the right time. Let me take you in. Of course, the Chanakya Niti. You say that he is called in the very observation about Chanakya from different sources. That in different opinion. That's what I witness. But of course, from ethical angle only, I'm touching. Now, Buddhism has got different connotation. Jainism has got different connotation. But anyway, let me restrict to that. No, I'm not locating to historical sense, but ethical sense. That is what the bone of contention you have to understand. From ethical angle, in what way Chanakya's contribution relevant. That's a focus, ladies and gentlemen. It's not history. So Kautilya, Vishnugupta, Chanakya, the different names. The ancient Indian teacher, philosopher, economist, டூரிஸ்ட், ராயல் அட்வைஸ். ஒரு தமிழ் சினிமாவில் ஒரு டயலாக் வரும். என்ன என்ன தேவனா பார்த்தா நான் தேவன், என்ன என்ன ஒரு கவுண்டனா பார்த்தா நான் கவுண்டன், என்ன முதலியாரா பார்த்தா நான் முதலியாரு, என்ன உடையாரா பார்த்தா நான் உடையாரு. I'm saying, there is a cinema dialogue. One guy, I think, Ajit Aige, I believe. So, they see the manifestations of Chanakya. That in whatever, multifaceted personality, multi-dimensional expertise on the part of Chanakya we are talking about. As a teacher, philosopher, economist, jurist, and royal advisor, the court of Chandragupta Maurya. And also the prime minister, chief minister, that you talk about the prime minister of Chandragupta Mauryan administration between, 345 to 300 BC. And also the founder of Mauryan dynasty, because, he met injustice in the hands of, Nanda dynasty. The feast he was sent out, that I heard that story, that and his body, that he may not be attractive figure, though he is very talented. And he wasn't allowed to take part, that in the royal feast. He was sent out. Maybe, he took revenge ultimately. This is what the story I heard, maybe, just for, nothing to do with, ultimately, that what he took vow. He removed that, the top knot ultimately. I won't tie it till I, that teach you lesson. Like, ultimately he took one guy, that the Chandragupta Maurya, and trained him. And so he made, he built great empire, and he took revenge. You might be aware we are talking about. So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, founder of Mauryan dynasty. All those stories, just for fun's sake, of course, but here, ethics and integrity, you focus on this. So crowned Chandragupta Maurya as the ruler of Magadha. So Magadha kingdom. So, all those, the 16 Mahajanapathas kingdom. So over the Chota Nagpur plate, most of the wars fought over the region to have control over the minerals. Even today, you talk about, that the coal mines, that all those, iron refining centers. You might be aware. To go for refinement of, iron, you need a lot of coal. So Chota Nagpur plate too. that most of the wars, the Mahajanapadas, fought in that region. So established Mauryan suzerainty over North India, complete control over North India. So otherwise, that you can rule, you have internal autonomy, but, you have to recognize our suzerainty, pay the tributes. It is that way. You might be, the command, that when you talk about, that the whole North India, almost, that you would have seen in history. So celebrated, that history, his diplomacy, that for, why he celebrated? For his diplomacy. And also statesmanship. That when I spoke about Swami Vivekananda, he's the first, that ambassador. All IFS guys, you have to understand. Vivekananda is the first ambassador, cultural ambassador. It is he who introduced India to the West. He connected, he acted as a bridge. Cultural diplomacy. So now, that, see, and prior to that we are talking about, of course, the very Chanakya belonging to 345, 500 BC we are talking about. So diplomacy and statesmanship, why? The political treaty. The political treatise, of course, what we are talking about, the Ardhashastra of Mauryan administration. That's, even Max Weber compared, Chanakya with Machiavelli, who wrote Prince, that the political treatise, of course, speaks about political realism. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you understand, that I have to introduce. And many Indian nationalists, that regard him, the very Chanakya, as one of the earliest people who envisioned united India. Even today, all of his contributions completely relevant to run a country, to run a country's economy, to manage the country's, diplomatic efforts. Even today, Even the internal security related issues, what he suggests, fantastic. Even the punitive mechanism, the field of medicine, the field of collection of taxes, taxation system, in the field of bureaucracy, all of his contributions even today relevant. Even the corporate, one guy, I think Radhakrishnan Pillai, he's staunch supporter of this Chanakya. He preaches Chanakya, how he is relevant to the corporate world. You would have watched a lot of videos also. So earliest people we envisioned, that united India spanning the entire subcontinent, that he envisioned united India. Of course, that he wrote Ardhashastra, the oldest text on public administration, political treatise, otherwise, between 321 to 300 BC. So that's what, leadership quality. Now, if you want to be a leader, you should be a reader. If you want to be a leader, you should be, that a writer, good writer first. Then, of course, that your team, you are the average of the 5 people you are in regular touch with. And rest of the things, the time management and all those things, rest of the things, whatever may be, that you take it for granted. You are the leader, you won't think that way, lead life that way. So, that the contemplation that takes you. It's that way, we talk about so many ways you might be aware. We're talking about, see, the writing, that those days, he wrote, that became Ardhashastra, the political treatise. We're talking about. So, India's former national security advisor, of course, Shiv Sankara Menon, we are talking about, that who prized this Chanakya as Ardhashastra, as a national security advisor, the high echelons of society. Now you got, James Bond, Ajit Doval. Yeah, we are talking about. So, Chanakya's Ardhashastra for its precise and timeless description of power. Timeless. We are talking about. So, furthermore, he recommended, that reading of the book for broadening, the vision on strategic issues. See, understand, for all of the strategic issues, relevant to the India, if you go through, you will understand. That one Art of War, another book, this, even the tactics of Genghis Khan, and some Middle East, that the kings, that we are talking about. So the non-Western, that leaders, that the thinkers enriched the art of war. Where that the US Army College professor talking that way also, you might be aware. So see, our national security advisor, according, the greatest regard, the honorable position to this in Ardhashastra. So Ardhashastra, consists of 3 parts. When you talk about the very Chanakya Niti, can be classified into 3 categories. Ardha Niti, Dand Niti, Videsh Niti. Of course, on the whole, you say Sam, Bhed, Dan, Dand. In Tamil, Sama, Veda, Dana, Tandam. You have to put im. Dharma, Dharmam, Adharma, Adharmam. Nyaya, Nyai, Anyai, Nyayam. You will come to know. That only that much difference, So, Ardha Niti. So, economic policy, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Ardha. Materials, economic policies to, to promote economic growth. The Ardha Niti and Dand Niti, of course, Dand, Dand in the sense, very well, the punishing, Dand, Danda, and Dand Niti. You talk about, the administration of justice. Why punishment? Fairness, justice, to ensure judicial fairness, we are talking about. So, Dand Niti, Videsh, Swadeshi, Videshi, foreign, you talk about, Videsh Niti, foreign affairs policy, diplomatic efforts. You're talking about diplomacy, foreign affairs policy, how to maintain relationship with the rest of the nations, the world, to maintain independence and to expand the kingdom. At the same time, you have to be sovereign. At the same time, you have to expand your kingdom. So those days, today we are not talking about, that the pacifist policy and all. It's totally different angle. We are talking about those days, that everything, that is justified. Everything is fair in love and war. They say everything is fair in love and war. That Videsh Nidhi we are talking about. So what is that? So the long list of areas of studies, his contribution, that's why multidimensional, multifaceted personality we are talking about. Of course, that it's written this way. So medicine, mathematics, military education, commercial education, statecraft, architecture, everything. Cutting across variety of spheres of life. So, Ardhashastra is a serious, that manual on statecraft, that we are talking about. Administration and how to run a state. Nee padicha school la na headmaster le. Chanakya says, "Hey, Tambi, Are Bhaiya." It is that way, that Chanakya says, Ardhasashtra. So, how to run a state, that it is that way. I think, here, let me recall, one Abraham Lincoln, I believe. So, Abraham Lincoln, very well, he was a son of cobbler. Tamil people say, Takliyargal சொல்லுவாங்க. The one who stitches chapel, torn chapel, you might be. So, you just imagine how they were viewed low in that hierarchy. So, he's son of that cobbler. So, once you know that he rose to the level of, in spite of that, after a variety of failures, health failure, everything, he lost everything. Finally, he won, he became US president. That's a different story. You know well, Abraham Lincoln. Even the democracy, definition of democracy, you cherish Abraham Lincoln. So, when Abraham Lincoln was the president of, the United States of America, POTUS, opposition leader, the thought of, maligning him. He said, "So, Mr. Abraham Lincoln, I know you are son of cobbler." So, it is that way, with you of maligning him, he utilized that phrase. So, immediately, the POTUS, the president of the United States of America, then Abraham Lincoln intervened, reciprocated, quid pro quo. Yes, I'm a son of, cobbler, no doubt. Today, I rose to the level of president of United States of America, the great nation. But, if you find any fault, that the opposition leader said, that don't forget, you are son of a cobbler. What your dad stitched chapel, I'm wearing, the shoe I'm wearing. So that is the way with which he maligned Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln said, yes, no doubt, I'm son of, cobbler. Today, I rose to the level of president of USA, no doubt. If you find any fault on that particular shoe, I'm ready to stitch. It's my duty as a son of, cobbler. I'm ready to, respond. If you got any problem, please tell me, sir, I'm ready to service you. It's not only, stitching shoe properly. I know how to run the country also properly. That is the way he responded. It's not only, that stitching the shoe, I also know how to run the country properly. That's the way he responded. Such is the, the reply. It's not reaction, response, decisive response. The presence of mind we are talking about, it is that way. So, so how to run the country, that recall, that it's not only that, how to run the country. Kautilya says, Arey, it is that way. So, manual on state, how to run a state, informed by, that higher purpose, clear and precise in its prescription. The result of, practical experience of running state we are talking about. That's what Shiva Sankara Menon's Accord. And it is not just a normative text. It's not a rules book, but realistic description of, the very pragmatic, the art of running state. Cherishes, somewhat he cherished, having been part of, administration, the diplomatic effort, he cherished, he shared, the very words of, Shiva Sankara Menon, the former national security advisor I'm talking about. So it's not mere, that the normative text, but that realistic description of the art of running a state, that's fantastic. We are talking about, so Ardhasashtra, political treatise of Mauryan administration, written by Kautilya or Chanakya or Vishnugupta, the prime minister of Mauryan administration, very well. So otherwise, he is a very multifaceted personality you have seen. So he discussed state administration in detail in Ardhasashtra, how a state should be run. So anticipated many modern administrative ideas. That is why you found, that you find even today he is very relevant. Such is the contemplation. The great statesman we are calling. The Nostradamus prediction, the French, the prophecy, even today it is relevant here. Such is the predictability we are talking about. Some people with that, extraordinary ability, that with which maybe God given, I don't know. So anticipated, that many, the many modern, that administrative ideas such as organizational structure, part of bureaucracy, are based on hierarchy and coordination between variety of departments. What you do now, which has got its own, that you can take, hue from there. It's already discussed there. Of course, we found this Ardhasashtra only in 20th century by a librarian, that too in Mysore. Though it is, that belonging to that Magadha administration, the Maurya administration of that particular contemporary. So he linked, the very Ardhasashtra, he linked administration to the welfare of the people. Today you talk about, part directive principles of state policy of Indian constitution, the welfare nation notion. Come on, We gone to the next level also. Paternalistic nation. All citizens are my sons and daughters. That approach. As a dad, I say, Uncle Prime Minister, you are our, that uncle. You take care of everyone as, sons, as if your sons and daughters. Paternalistic nation notion, attitude. Of course, people may hate you, but you should not hate back. I'm talking parallel. Of course, that he's hardworking man. No doubt, that a lot of reform, perform, transform, perform or perish. But nobody is free from criticism. Well, that's what the reality. So the greatest people are never understood in their own lifetime. Never understood in their lifetime. Mahatma Gandhiji's life was full of struggle. But even today, you speak about Gandhi. So linked to administration, that what is the point? The welfare of the people. That is the ultimate. That is the ultimate. Even today, it is relevant. Someone who spoke during, that the Mauryan administration. You just see. It's that way, ladies and gentlemen. Such is the contemplation, envisagement, foresightedness on the part of, the statesmen we are talking about. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So exhaustively, that list duties and functions of the king. How a king, who is a king, in what way, he has to, his obligation. And not only king, the princess, the ministers and state officials. Those days we are talking about, that, and also, that to strictly observe, that the discipline in its implementation. And he also prescribed, that strict code of conduct. Of course, during elections, we talk about model code of conduct. In spite of that, we don't. Our ministers not following. What happened, that happened one case, one IAS officer in Karnataka, and she is a fantastic lady and a very good administrator. And when during that election time, there was a model code of conduct, but a particular minister was using circuit house for political activities. He went there and shut down, ultimately took action. But what happened? She got transferred in a week. Ultimately, she took up the case to Central Administrative Tribunal through High Court of the Karnataka. She got reinstated to the same position. That is the justice. As civil servant of India, you got your own protection. Don't worry. Otherwise, media will take care of you. Even Rupa IPS face, she rose to the level of, that of course you might be aware, Home Secretary, but she got transferred now, because there is another conflict of interest with another officials. She has been sent somewhere. Even one, you got people like Ashok Kimka, one, Sagayam recently, one Pon Manikavil, IPS officer, and how he was instrumental in bringing back those, that kidnapped or stolen, the idols. You might be aware. So there are good people. You will be protected. Don't worry. Of course, the media, people support will be there. Let's see. Courage is the salvation. That should be the way. Of course, here the code of conduct. That code of conduct already in the days of Mauryan administration, the Chanakya days. Oh my God! So anticipated modern ideas of code of ethics. See the relevance now. Modern ideas of code of ethics. In the Ardhasashtra itself. We're talking about. You understand now how he is relevant to our subject, it is that way. So he believed in the adage, in every session I keep on talking about. Yata Raja, Tata Praja. Yata Raja, Tata Sanstan. Yata Praja, Tata Raja. Yata Praja, Tata Sanstan. Now we talk other way around. The quality of the institution is reflected in the leadership we are talking about. That goes with the leadership we talk about. It is that way. So, Yatha Raja, Tata Praja. That Arasan Evvali, Kudigal Evvali. So, it's, that goes with, it's totally depending on the nature of the ruler, the nature of the people we are talking about. So, that adage, that the Kautilya Ardhasashtra we are talking about. So, an ideal king is the one who has the highest qualities of leadership. Pakka leadership quality. Got the idea, no? We are talking about, that leadership and also intellectual, should be intellectual and should have energy, source of inspiration. I even, that it's a source of inspiration. Modi ji, whatever may be political criticism, he is my source of inspiration. He gets up, that 5 o'clock, 18 hours per day work. Nobody is free from criticism, yeah? You are not free from criticism. I am not free from criticism. Your dad, your mom, your brother, sister, everyone. But let's, that an optimist will see solution in every problem. A pessimist will see problem in every solution. It is very, it's very easy to curse the darkness. It's better to light the candle. So the very energy I appreciate. He's doing yogasana, everything. Wow, that's fantastic. I appreciate, and also achievement. A chaiwala could become Prime Minister of India. Greatest achievement. The energy, I appreciate. Even in the old age, how Mahatma Gandhi very fast in walking. Even that one minister, Payush Goyal, he's the work, the gait. I appreciate that guy. That he's maybe our honorable minister. I appreciate him. So it's that way, even Dr. Jaishankar, let me appreciate Dr. Jaishankar, honorable minister, external affairs minister, wishing you all the very best. Of course, that many more happy returns of the day, honorable minister, Dr. Jaishankar. Today his birthday, of course. Right? The personal attributes, as a leader, you should have highest qualities. Your intellect, your energy, your personal attributes. Of course, some people with charismatism, even I see some sort of charismatism with Modi ji. Of course, we are talking about. Now he's growing beard to suit, that with youth style, I believe. So the king needs to check that, that integrity of those whom he wants to appoint as advisor. Idanai, idanal, ivan mudikkum என்றாராய்ந்து அதனை avan கண்விடல். There is a Tirukural. Delegation, management by delegation, right person for the right post, effective role allocation and performance. And even Warren Buffett says, here, let me compare, that you have to identify 3 parameters: integrity, intelligence, energy. Whenever you recruit a person for your organization, you should have integrity, then intelligence, then energy. If that integrity is not there, the character is not there, what is the use of this intelligence and energy? That no way that's going to benefit organization. Rather, he will use that, the intelligence and energy for his own, selfish motive, not for the organizational purpose. Got the idea, na? What is integrity? Even if nobody is seeing you, even if nobody is witnessing you, you never compromise the principles or standards. That's integrity. Otherwise, let me say this way here, when you go to, that your restroom, nobody is there. After using the restroom, if you don't flush the water properly, that's over then. Nobody is there, no CCTV. That's integrity. So the king needs to check that integrity, honesty, that the long run integrity you are talking about, that the fundamental, the principle for all those, honesty, integrity, truth, the value system you believe in, of those whom he wants to appoint as advisor. That's very, very important. Have satsang, not like-minded people, right-minded people. That's very important. Otherwise, what will happen? They themselves will deceive you, misguide you. Idipara illa yemara mannan keduparilanum kedum. We are talking about in Tirukural. So, you need, that a council of ministers to advise, that personal advisors, that whenever you go wrong, they should have guts to say, no, Raja, no, king, this is wrong. It is not, that for your psychophancy, Ashtodra, Namaha, Swaha, it's over then. One day, fine morning, the whole boat will capsize. We are talking about. Will fall down. It is that way. So, that it is that way. So, discuss the defense of the state boundaries. What the very Ardha Shastra, how to protect your borders. It is that way, protection of the forts. Kottai eppadi paadukakkuradhu, kottai, forts. And also the manner of repulsing the external aggression. Even for the Chinese aggression, you see the seed there. How do we repel? Cross-border terrorism we are talking about in the border. Terrorism and dialogue will not go together. We make the statement categorically. First stop cross-border terrorism, then only there will be dialogue. We say, of course, the Pakistan, even the Chinese aggression we are talking about. See, how repulsing, that is why Shiv Shankara Menon really enjoyed, I believe, the Ardha Shastra. The strategic affairs we are talking about. So, it's not only protecting fort. Of course, we lost once. Our parliament was attacked. What a pity, huh? Now, United States of America, that of course, how the Capitol got attacked by Trump supporters, one shot, 3 people, all those things we are talking about. Oh my God, it is that way. The Banana Republic moment in the US Capitol, well what happened. So, that this Ardha Shastra talking about defense of state boundaries. And also, even, that one, I think, Designated Survivor, one Netflix serial, you please watch that, you will come to know more about US administration, the Confederation. So, Ardha Shastra classifies, that the legal matters into civil and criminal. Hello. Even the international criminal court, international code of justice you have. Fantastic. Of course, that. So outlines the administration of justice with reference to, that evidence. It's not simply, making diktat, that the procedures, evidence, that has got its own process, and also witness, evidence based. Yeah, you talk about, that's fantastic. A systematic way of delivering justice. We are talking about administering justice, the prelude to, that all those, judicial mechanism what we have. And strongly believed in danniti, danda, punishment. Punishment, that you can't escape from punishment. Uppa thinnava, thanni kudikano. There is social sanction mechanism. Of course, believes that good governance is necessary for realizing objective of the state. So if there is no transparency, accountability, responsibility, you cannot, that meet the objectives of the state. The goal may be that, that we say, maybe through Niti Ayog, whatever maybe the goal through, a 15th Finance Commission. We cannot meet, if we don't have, good governance, transparency, responsibility, accountability. That's according to, the very Ardhashastra spoke those days. And proper, for that, what do you have? You should have system in place, proper administrative structures and processes. That should be given. Idanai, idanal. So this thing can be achieved by means of this. By means of this, for that you should have structure. Idanai, idanal, even mudikum. Even this guy is staffing. Endru ஆராய்ந்து, do introspection, research. Adanai avan can vidal. Then entrust with the responsibility to that guy, to the chosen guy, recruited guy. Management by delegation. So proper administrative structures and processes. So you see that, that how Ardhashastra, spoke about, proper administrative structures or processes should be there. Then only there will be effective delivery of, that the objective of the state. Through good governance, and good governance, the necessity. Now today we are talking about ethical governance. So suggest, that the government, that the very Ardhashastra, that should avoid, the very Ardhashastra suggests to avoid extreme decision. Even, the demonetization was criticized, Note Bandi, GST, okay, somewhat we survived, we started generating revenue. But, that this formula should not become yet another demonetization. That's a crime. And, that there are guys, started saying it's not Right to Information Act, Right to Service Act should be there. I've got my own right for this service. Food Security Act, right to education, right to service. It's not what is the use of mere information if you are not served. There comes another thing ultimately. So we have to be very careful. So it's avoiding extreme decisions and actions. Rather, it should be moderate, middle path. That's what Aristotle said, gold mean. Even Buddhism says moderation path. And you have to choose accordingly, moderate path or harsh path. Sam, Be, Dan, Dand. அடி உதவுற மாதிரி அண்ணன் தம்பி கூட உதவ மாட்டான். அடிச்சு சொல்லணும். When situation demands, should not hesitate. The demands, should not hesitate to use enforcing agencies. When there is, malafide intention on the part of the people coming to the street on behalf of, malafide opposition party or corrupt media, you should know how to deal. There, danniti. Of course, moderate action relies on persuasion. That as the consensual approach, variety of dialogues, held with variety of organization, agricultural communities, but though it is inconclusive, again, that another meeting, that slated to 15th of January, you might be aware. We're talking about out of 4, that what is the demands, 2 made by the union administration. So there comes ethical dilemma in India, of course, liberalization of agriculture sector versus protecting the interest of agricultural community. Without dismantling MSP, subsidy, procurement mechanism. Yes, we are talking about. So moderate action relies on persuasion, sama, and rewards, dana, sanction, positive sanction, awards, honors, incentives. Moderate action this way. Leadership by persuasion, leadership by motivation, leadership by inspiration, and also by, incentives. But this one, dannidi. If else, bring them. So harsh actions rely on punishments, danda, dannidi, danda, and on creating, that the differences between Veda, inciting speech, polarizing people, dividing people, differences between one's enemies, Veda. It is that way. So horse actions rely on punishments and on creating difference between one's enemy. Beda, everything is justified in war and love. That's what we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So the Dan Nidhi, the Chanakya Nidhi we are discussing. So political governance, the very Ardhashastra recognizes, Ardhashastra written by Kautilya or Chanakya or Vishnu Gupta of, the political treatise on Mauryan administration recognizes in true modern pragmatic style. It's not too ideal, pragmatic, practical, down to the earth, to show qualities of flexibility and realism, right? It's not something on paper, it cannot be practiced. That's what Supreme Court delivers judgment on Sabarimala issue, but people are protesting. What is the use? Central government passing the 3 laws on agriculture, Kanun, but the people are in protest. Whether it is motivated with malified intention, that's a different story. But government has got different priorities. They have to go for economic reforms. They have to travel. Because already, that Honorable Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, no baggages of socialism. Yes. How long you are going to cheat people? By speaking, because 21st century demands, that the tools meant for 21st century. That demands your creativity. Next avatar, it's not living with 18th century ideals. No doubt. So the government has got, its own responsibility. Reform, perform, transform. All those archaic laws, should be thrown away. Obsolete laws should be thrown away because we have to perform. Otherwise, we have to perish. Now these guys are saying, agriculture protects, that perform or die. Oh my God. Of course, that we have to balance somewhere, that the consensual approach, should be worked out. Let's hope. Ladies and gentlemen, so sovereignty is practicable only when the cooperation of others and all administrative measures are to be taken after the proper deliberation. Otherwise, we have to say on paper only. Sovereignty, you are not, that depending on the foreign countries, dictate. Now the rogue nation you have in the neighborhood, Pakistan, those days during Cold War, it is one of the states of the United States of America. It was getting that much aid from there. Of course, we were supported strategic ally by Russia, but we never became, that the ally okay, strategic treaty okay. But it's not taking for granted. No? Pakistan behaved like one of the states of USA. But what happened? Situation changed. Now, it became one of the provinces of, that now China. Why? China-Pakistan economic corridor and investment through Belt Road Initiative. But India did not take part in Belt Road Initiative. Why? Sovereignty. Sovereignty. Even all our neighborhood joined there. Otherwise, China has got malified intention. One Belt, One Road Initiative. They say Belt Road Initiative, making the nation, the 21st century, that Silk Route we are talking about. Otherwise, making the nation debt trapped. That's what. But we never listen to that. Maintain sovereignty. You talk about all these things. Ardhashastra spoke there. Sovereignty is practicable when cooperation, all opposition parties should cooperate. The administrative mechanism, bureaucratic mechanism should cooperate. Judiciary should cooperate. People should cooperate. There should not be anathema. So, for that, we have to work out mechanisms, after proper deliberations. And, let me appreciate the genuine efforts on the part of the central government, that in conducting, the dialogues. They take food with ministers, taking, food with them. You have seen something. We understand. They are working on it. Let's see. Let them work towards, consensual approach. But meanwhile, French elements, trying to destabilize, destroy, that our telecom infrastructure there. That's not all happening. The tower, mobile tower, and all. Huh? Though the law and order is the subject of Punjab administration, state administration. Let them aware. We're talking about all these things, ladies and gentlemen. So that all these things you find relevance. You can link with the contemporary scenes. What we are talking about. So the very Ardhashastra written by Kautilya seriously addresses the problem of corruption called embezzlement. That the very Chanakya talks about 40 methods by which officials can swindle the government funds. But in spite of that, he says, that how come you can recognize, that whether fish is drinking water in the water body? Can you measure it? How do you know fish is drinking water while swimming there? The same way you can't measure, you can't understand. These Garap guys. It's very difficult according to Kautilya. So very skeptical of that finding easy solutions too. திருடராய் பார்த்து திருந்தா விட்டால் திருட்டை ஒழிக்க முடியாது unless until the thief that ready to reform transform. Nobody can. It's not outside, it is inside. தூங்குறவனை எழுப்பிடலாம், தூங்குற மாதிரி நடிக்கிறவனை எழுப்ப முடியாது. I'm telling. All corrupt politicians, na, you know very well, after death, they'll reduce to 1 tumbler of ash or 6 feet distance. That land also will be given to later for another dead body. But in spite of that, see individual absurdity, all drama, my way, highway. Oh my God. So, it is that way, that, so all officials, that, so, my friends used as Sampath, 100 crores, let it be. More than 100 crores, nothing, Sampath. But there are 1 lakh crores. One minister has swindled. 1 lakh crores. What is this? Oh my God. Central government, they have to do something. All enforcing agencies, you have to do something. What you are doing there? Otherwise, are you party in connivance? Are you partner in crime? There comes another question. How long you can fool people, na? One day, fine morning, you will be. Whoever may be. Come on. So, difficult to discover the honesty. That's what Chanakya says. It is very difficult to discover the honesty. பால் போல கள்ளும் உண்டு நிறத்தாலே ரெண்டும் ஒன்று. I'm singing Tamil song. Even, that, what is that, na? Intoxicating drink. We call, that toddy. Toddy and milk appears similar. All that, that glitters. All that glitters, that is not gold. You talk about. So it is difficult to, that discover, that. But I'm talking about, if you're an honest person, it's totally different. People doubt, that only gold, not iron, for its purity. If you're an honest guy, you don't worry. So difficult to discover the honesty and dishonesty on the part of official, because they know, once they have decided, because, corruption in kind, nepotism, favoritism, cronyism, it's in kind. You can't measure. கண்ணில் விளக்கெண்ணெயை ஊற்றிட்டு உட்கார முடியாது. திருடுறவன் திடுவான். So it is that way, that it's very difficult we are talking about. So it is possible to mark the movements of birds flying high up. Even you can, you can also, do this. See, even the very birds, flying high up, you can mark the path in the sky, but not so is it possible to ascertain the movement of government servants for hidden purpose. Motive. என்ன நினைக்கிறான்னு தெரியாது. What is the motive? We don't know. Very difficult to, that to measure. It appears, that at the end of the day, there is a movie, one Kurdi Punal, I think, came. And there were so many movies, movie Ramana. Ramana came, that I really, Vijayakanth movie. Ramana came by Murugadas, I believe. What is that? Tagore. Gabbar Singh, very well. It is that way. So, that recommends, that, strictest deterrent punishment to the offenders. That, தண்டனைகள் தீவிரமாக்கப்பட்டால் தான் குற்றம் குறையும். Of course, we are talking about only when punishments are, very severe, the crime rate may come down. People are talking about, but you got another theory also. The Middle East, the punishments are very severe, but crime rates are more. Where there are stringent punishments, that the tendency to violate is more. The other way, research saying. But of course, it's Chanakya way. Maybe, that he talks about deterrence. People are afraid of that. And now we are heading towards, that abolition of capital punishment. And state can't give life. How come state can take away life that way? But deterrence, punishment, to deter, others will be at least afraid of that. Otherwise, people hitherto, that strictly adhering to, that the value system principles, they should not feel discouraged. Whatever you do, that it's not like that. They should feel, incentivized. I told you, this guy committing mistake, one day he will be brought to the book. Dharmathin வாழ்வுதனை சூது கவ்வும் தர்மம் மறுபடியும் வெல்லும். Time is the difference. என்ன நீ இருக்க மாட்டேன், நான் இருக்க மாட்டேன் பார்க்கிறதுக்கு. They can never escape the karma theory, or maybe it's that way. Otherwise, what they aimed for, that will never materialize. This ill-gotten money materialism will never make all those goals, that getting, materialized. Otherwise, they will immaterialize. That's the meaning. It's not my curse. That's a fate for them. Okay, we are talking about, so recommends strictest deterrent punishment to the offenders we are talking about. And propose that salaries of king and his officials should not exceed more than quarter of the revenue. Tamil Nadu government running, the task mark says, for what purpose, they were unable to pay, that salary for government officials. Oh my God, they've got target, towards, 30,000 crores. I don't know whether they crossed already. Eh? By making, that the whole Tamilians, that as a drunkard. See, the people who interested in social drinking, let them go affordable. Come on. But, are you not spoiling? Oh my God, we are talking about. So, propose that the salaries, because I understand from Somabana, Surabana, let it be personal whims and fancies, that somewhat you do, that you're not generating healthy society. So, don't care attitude. People are talking about welfare nation notion. People are talking about paternalistic notion. It is irresponsibility on the part of the political, heads we are talking about. Let me have money in my pocket. So the proposed, that the salaries of the king, 1/4 of the revenue, just imagine. In Jayalalitha administration estimates, it was around some, that 900 crores. That's why Swaminathan committee, part of World Bank, recommended scale down. But what happened? There came severe strike from government officials. She withdrew. She lost also elections. So another opposition party coming, that ultimately they are not bothered about it because they get, the votes only from educated or government people. Ultimately, that works that way. So, that it is opposition. Role of the opposition is to oppose everything introduced by the ruling party. That has become motto. Whatever may be, irrespective of, the color, political color I'm talking about, at the national level, state level. So, propose that the salaries of the king and his officials should not exceed one quarter of the revenue. You got the idea, na? So, the proposed that, that the ministers, that's fantastic calculation. But, of course, we are deviating. So, that's why non-plan expenditure, even today we are talking about. Even recently, there was, that the incumbent chief minister going for some political meeting there. Lot of, cars, drama, and there were accidents too. Whose money? It's not my money. Followers come. That ultimately, why they come? Then Arichavam, Porangaya Nakam Irpana. It is that way we are talking about. Why they come with purpose, we are talking about. So, reducing non-plan expenditure, in the name of, all those, the functions. Make it austere, simple. You are there to govern. Minimum government, maximum governance. It's not maximum government, minimum governance we are talking for. So, the proposed, that ministers, including the king, should be paid for the service they render, not their, ownership of any resources. They take away everything, that you just imagine. If one minister is said to be, that looting the money to the tune of, 1 lakh crores, think about those other ministers. The very 30 ministers. Oh my God, 30 lakh crores, na? Even Atmanirbhar, self-reliant economy is 20 lakh crores alone. You can launch a great program throughout India, na? There can be free medical facility, free education in the line of developed countries, social security schemes, right? With that money, why not? Definitely we can meet social sector allocation 12% if that way. So that's what I'm saying. Take in, send all those guys to Tihar, take away, confiscate the property and implement. Do you have guts? I'm asking all leaders. If you have guts, do that. That's what, don't have courage, throw away, go away, that the cowards then, I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you got guts, do it. Even stashed away money, that Ramjit Malani started protecting. That's the criticism. Dr. Subramaniam Swami criticizing Ramjit Malani. That's a different story we're talking about. So, that demands the guts to do something for the nation. How long you're going to cheat? Because, oh my God. So, it is that way. See, it already the formula given by, Ardhasashtra. You see sheer violation everywhere. So, in Ardhasashtra, economic governance is the end. At the end of the day, economic development, because of that materials, people should be happy. But it is in dharma way, not adharma way. So, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma, righteous path, through which, that ardha end. So, economic governance is the end. For that, you've got a mechanism. It means here I see parallelism with Karl Marx. The Karl Marx says, infrastructure shapes superstructure. What is infrastructure? Economic infrastructure. The people want to dominate this economic infrastructure. Accordingly, they, frame all those, social structure. That infrastructure is almost like foundation of the building. Superstructure you build. Infrastructure is, economic institution. Superstructure may be political institution, religious institution, education, health, whatever may be. So, that to achieve this, economic governance, rest of the institution. Economic governance is a foundation. For that, you got rest of the institution to shape It is very similar to Karl Marx notion. It is that way, Ardhashastra. I see a Marxian seed here. So good governance presupposes, political stability. Only when there is good governance, transparency, responsibility, accountability, there will be peace. All internal security related issues will be brought to the control. All centrifugal, the tendencies, will be suppressed, so that there will be equilibrium, stability, cooperation, social cohesion. There is peace. That is what political stability. That leads to prosperity, of course, economic governance. The law and order is maintained pakka. It is that way. So good governance presupposes political stability. We are talking about ethical governance more than good governance. From equality to equity, corporate social responsibility, scientific social responsibility, inclusive governance, financial inclusion. I'm talking about, excuse me. You can also refresh yourself, please. 1 second. Let me take, water. Yeah. Water. Please refresh yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So the Ardhashastra makes revolutionary observation that stability will prevail if rulers are responsive, not reactive, responsive, decisive, accountable, and removable, recallable. We are yet to introduce, that part of election commission measure, recall provision. Nota only we have introduced. Negative voting, recall, why can't we? Referendum, recall, negative voting, why can't we? We are yet to do, that it should be done. And removable, of course, sometimes we do. But of course, nowadays you can't do immediately because that guy has got his own lobby. I will expose your corruption. People are afraid. They are talking about ultimately the system survives that way. Even I heard, that one party in rule, that, so, you're sharing the corrupt money with opposition party. So, to silence the opposition party. Are you aware? That's happening in Tamil Nadu. Oh my God, it is that way, that happened since the days of, Karunanidhi and MGR. முதல்ல பொட்டி எங்க போச்சா அப்புறம் அங்க வாங்கம்பாராம். Are you aware? Share and care. Oh my God. So, it is that way. So, the whole system, Markandeya Gachu, the justice, he was right, whole system got dilapidated. It should be destroyed. Don't, that support that, because you are surviving out of that. That's why you support. As long as we don't benefit out of that system, we have got strong reservation against it, opinion against it. As long as you benefit out of it, you will tend to support, reinforce the same system only, right? So, it is that way. So, makes revolutionary observation that stability will prevail if the rulers are responsive. You should respond, not reacting, decisively, accountable, answerable, and, erring officials should be thrown away. Erring, that the people part of governance should be removed. And also recallable. Come on, come back. Come and do party activity. You don't do. Some parties, very keen when people are making controversial things. Afraid of losing vote bank, they do. Not for the sake of welfare of the people. So, provisions for recall and removal can apply because, that's why people should be afraid. Afraid of, that losing power. Afraid of, that think that he may be called back or removed from office. By impeachment can apply at best, even you got impeachment provision, that, in the judicial mechanism, even ministry level. But of course, you see the seed there itself, Ardhashastra talking about. At best, that to state functionaries, that, and not to monarch, because that time it was a monarchy. The government was monarchy, not like, democracy, what we have. So, the state functionary, for officials, he was, talking about. Monarchy, that it's a permanent entity, no elections. Hereditary kingship, you might be aware. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are discussing the Chanakyas or the Shastra, the political treatise of the Mauryan administration. How, that's responsible for enriching the ethics and, integrity domain of, the UPSC civil service, examination, mains GS4 paper, which has got the responsibility of 250 marks out of 1750. How it has contributed, we are discussing, ladies and gentlemen. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Welcome to Unacademy. Yes, economic governance. So, recommends, penalties for officials of public enterprises which incur losses, that and rewards. Of course, we also do modern day judgments. Sasikala, the what was punished. Now she is likely to be released, some Jan 26 after her punishment period. She paid some penalty, some 10 crores. You might be aware. But this is about officials, that part of public enterprises, that it is that way. Responsible for, loss making public sector units recently through, the new economic policy, that economic reforms, liberalization, privatization, globalization, we went for public sector disinvestment. Loss making public sector units, some shares were given to privatization. You might be aware, na? We are talking about, that, but here, what it is a peculiar scenario. A guy hitherto was part of, the public sector. The sector was responsible for all round losses. One day, fine morning, that what happened, that this guy will resign. And when he was inside of that public sector unit, he would have shared all those, the technicalities, secret details to the, to the a particular corporate. So this guy will resign and join the corporate. That corporate ultimately, that part of public sector disinvestment, taking stakes in that, the loss making unit. So the next day, that the private parties, running to the profit. How it's happening? Even the very bankruptcy on the part of, banking sector, NPA, stressed asset, because of the erring officials I'm talking about, with the support of, with the political blessings, That way we are talking about. So, recommends penalties for officials of public enterprises, that for their losses and rewards. And losses, that and rewards also, that what is the point now? So, incentive based, that's what, the 15th commission, we are talking about part of finance commission, all state governments, that of course that report says, that the western and southern states performing very well should be incentivized. We are talking about governance mechanism, how they should be encouraged, incentivized. When comparing with Bimarav states completely eating away our economic growth by doing nothing. As if you got PIGS nations part of European Union. So focus is on husbanding of resources, both for efficiency and meeting the cost of, that running countries, that administration. It is that way. So the focus for, that good governance, so that leads to, that stability, equilibrium, peace. That leads further for, good economic governance. That is the end. So for that, you got political governance as means. That is what. So proposes, wage policy. See, just, during that period, they're thinking about wage policy. Today you talk about, labor reforms, minimum wages, based on the inflation, that consumer price index of a particular state government can fix it. And some political parties nowadays saying that, even women also will be given, that should be given, compensated for their contribution to the family, some salary. Some political parties are speaking. So proposes, the wage policy based on economic, social, political condition. It is that way. The minimum wage, maybe you talk about. So you see the prelude there in Ardhasastra. So consider state as a party, that along with farmers, merchants, industrialists, labor, that are wage legislation. It is that way. See the, that contemplation, envisagement by the Ardhasastra Kautilya we are talking about. Even today we talk about primary sector. Of course, the merchants, maybe service sector you talk about. Even part of, industrial, secondary, manufacturing sector and service sector, labor, the very labor, the wages, minimum wages. Three sectors of economy touched by him. So economic governance is the end. Political governance is the means for that, end. That's according to, Ardhasastra, the political treatise of the Mauryan administration. Especially talking about welfare nation notion. Fantastic. Those days, that, so that too, that Maurya period, Chandragupta Maurya period, the prime minister for, that Chandragupta Maurya, of course, the Kautilya, Vishnugupta, the Chanakya, we are talking about can be equated with, the Prince Machiavelli for the political realism. The Max Weber compared that way also, you might be aware. Even Shivasankara Menon, that the former national security advisor appreciated, the Ardhashastra for, that enriched knowledge, especially through, the strategic affairs, especially. Vis-a-vis strategic affairs we are talking about. Yes, protecting our nation, protecting our borders. So recognize, that the state has to ensure that the commercial activities do not violate laws. The commercial activities do not violate law. Maybe corporate social responsibility. That's why National Green Tribunal, environment impact assessment. It's not mere economic development. It should not violate the laws meant for protecting, the environment, or protecting weaker section minority. It's not harming consumer. They can approach the consumer court. It's not encroaching upon, the privacy of individual, maybe fundamental rights, jurisdiction. See, everything what we do, you got see there. What else? So state to provide measurement and quality norms for the sale of the products we are talking about, so that it's free from contamination. The measurement, weighs and measures, the quality norms, total quality control we are talking about. It is that way. So, that the very Avin milk in Tamil Nadu, hello, a guy who is working in Avin coming and complaining from Salem and even Chennai, that the blatant, that guy says don't buy Avin. A guy part of Avin. Because that the blatant, that the openly they mix, that some, that washing powder. A guy part of the system complaining this. He is getting blessings of, that higher officials as well as, politicians. Are you aware of this? So that's why, when you make tea, leather. Otherwise, when you go, when you urinate, you will see a lot of leather in your toilet. Let me be very open. Huh? The Nirma, washing powder, Nirma, you see in milk. Maybe, that your Ariel, everything comes. Oh my God. Oh, contamination everywhere. Contamination. Why? So, of course, that he was, that alarming the contamination. So, provides punishment for selling inferior goods. For everything you got, the duplicates. You should be aware. As of higher quality. But, that they will say, as, they will charge you for high quality, but they will give you only inferior goods. There is a gap. So, fixes the profit margins, for homemade and imported goods, along with fines for exceeding the margin. That, so it's a balance between need and greed. Of course, the government took care of it. So fantastic. Now, those days, I couldn't even think about it, that how contemplative they were. So we had fantastic, contemplative administration. But today we are talking about, we have got everything there. Are we implementing? Is there, any strict adherence to the rules? Oh my God, we are talking about, so established, that explicit guidelines for the practice of the medical profession. And incorporating ideas, we see kidney transplantation everywhere, but now this is the time, given COVID situation, we have to salute all those, the medical professionals and the health officials, other workers, and who sacrifices. We can talk about them later. Nothing is free from criticism, but this time you have to, that stand by them. Given COVID situation, 24/7, hard work they put in, and that not even taking care of themselves properly. Even my niece, that working in, as a doctor, how I come to know how vulnerable, that exposure, that all those, that epidemics we are talking about. That services should be appreciated. But, the guidelines, that for those, of course, we are talking about, that those days are the Sashtra. For in advance of his time, we are talking about. So, established guidelines, that for professional service providers like weavers, washermen, boatmen, shipping agents. Life is same. That's what. Fact is similar. Life is similar. How do you live different? That's all. Means only changing. Culture is similar. Civilization advances. That's all. Maybe the material aspect keep on changing. The means keep on changing. Not the core. Not the core. The way of life is even today similar. But of course, that how deviant we are, that's totally different scenario we are talking about. Accept the role of, markets and demand and supply. Even today it is relevant. Huh? We talk about, that black market, hoarding, how government intervenes, that APMC, Agricultural Producing Marketing Committee, we are talking about. It is that way, that even the legislation dealing with that, agricultural law we are talking about. So recommends that the state should reduce excessive price, controlling inflation, excessive price fluctuation, detrimental to the commercial activities, based on demand and supply. The market forces under control. The people, that should, because high inflation, come on, it's over then. The price rise, what will happen? So it has got its own impact, the affordability and that should match the people's purchasing power. We are talking about even today. So see that how contemplation considered that intervention is government should intervene. But what? That's the cry now. When you give it to that liberalize ultimately, that market forces ultimately deciding that may go against agricultural community. That's what they cry. They are afraid. They considered that interventionist policy is needed to counter the situation of the glut in the market. That excessive supply, price low, or that less supply, that more demand, the price rise accordingly. So the government intervention we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So that not only that observes that cultivable land is better than mines. You just imagine, we are very keen in mines, na? Mining industry. Now we are talking about where ultimately the tribals that rehabilitated, resettled or not. Otherwise, how they were utilized as a shield by Naxalites in that particular region. What's happening in Chhattisgarh, Sukma district? Even my kids are there, part of CAPF as assistant commandant. How vulnerable they are against these centrifugal tendencies, internal security related issues. So Ardhashastra says cultivable land is better than mines. Why? Because mines fill only treasury. Agricultural production fills both treasury and storehouses. But we have got the more storage under Food Corporation of India godowns, because we need more storage facilities, because that it's more than the capacity. It can accommodate only 40 million tons. We got more than 100 million tons. It's getting wasted. But other side, people are starving. Where we talk about global hunger index, where India is below the Bangladesh. That's different crime. So it's talking about says that kings should understand the intricacies of agriculture. The Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Tomar Singh and other ministers, that they have to, that customize, personalize themselves to understand the nuances, nitty-gritties, not only restricted to Punjab and Haryana, and that so that that never goes against small and marginal farmers. That's very important. That it should not be like demonetization. Come on, please take care. Don't commit mistakes here. Yeah, we understand that your priority, that you want to go for reform. At the same time, it should not be at the cost of that a section of population. At the same time, you have to deal with malafide intentions parallelly. That's different we are talking about. So recognizes the taxes on agricultural and allied activities are necessary state revenue. Even today, if you go to that revenue department, they talk about jamabandi. Those days it's called revenue collection. The government is running on the revenues collected from the people. But that's why modern day administration demands that it's not the collector, the role of collector of revenues. That's all. But the district collector, now the phenomenal shift we are talking about, the paradigm shift. You are no more collector. That you have to make district self-sustainable by your policies and programs, by exploring the resources. It is not mere collection of collector too. Ultimately making the collector role of the collector is no more collector, and making the district self-sustainable through your policies, and you have to be part of solution. It's not waiting for central or state government fund. That is, try to connect with corporate people under CSR, as Madam Kiran Bedi ji doing there in Pondicherry. Connect people, the government officials, and corporate social responsibility of corporates. You get fund, you provide solution, and also involve non-governmental officials there, NGO, civil society, various pressure groups in that region. Yeah, why not? So multiple stakeholders, that for a particular cost we are talking about. So recognizes, that state agriculture. So those days, we talk about Ardhashastra, advocates proper systems of cropping pattern and irrigation. Come on, we are talking about even, that the Nazmul Karim, I believe. So in the TB Baltimore, in the book I witnessed, right, the Asiatic society called irrigated civilization. The governments in that Asiatic society, especially China, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, their primary concern is to manage the water bodies, and also land-based revenue. Irrigated civilization. Yeah, that's why. So highly relevant. So proper system of cropping pattern and irrigation. Yes, we're talking about it, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, that the very Ardhashastra discusses local and foreign trade. That foreign trade we are talking about. The diplomatic effort we are talking about. So third pillar of economic activity, local and foreign trade. Of course, service sector, export, import. Once again, let me to emphasize that, trade should be promoted by improving infrastructure. That, infrastructure should be improved. We've got infrastructural bottlenecks. That's why the Atmanirbhar, self-reliant economy, we are talking about 20,000 crores allotment. Why? It is that way. So, that even Prime Minister Modi says, foreign direct investment, FDI, as first develop India. First develop India, he says. To emphasize that the trade should be promoted by improving infrastructure. We have to come out of the infrastructural bottlenecks. We have to fetch more FDI, FII. For that, we have to run the show properly. That way. So, state to keep trade routes, free of harassment by courtiers, state officials, and thieves, frontier guards. That, you just, maybe toll gates you are collected in every government, in the name of, revenue officials, or maybe, that harassment by courtiers, state officials, thieves. Enter into government service, you will come to know. Paisa vachada file move agum. Table கீழலாம் கிடையாது. Directly they are demanding. You would have watched movie na Shivaji, Shankar movie na. How? Oh my God, it is that way, that we talk about. So distrusted, that traders, believing them to be, that thieves with propensity to form cartels to fix prices, they'll be blocking, for their own personal interests. And a hoarding, black marketing, the artificial scarcity, onion came, na, the onion changed because, the fundamental, that masala, you might be aware. So if you touch onion, that's over then. So onion politics. In Tamil Nadu, there was a Periyar who used to say Vengayam. Enaya Vengayam, Vengaya Arasiyal. Vengaya Arasiyal happened in Delhi, North India. That the price of onion, that changed the regime. You might be aware. That influenced politics. So artificial scarcity, hoarding, black market, you might be aware. So that decides fate of politics also. So make excessive profits and deal in, that stolen property, that goes against people, that all those things ultimately, discussed in Ardhashastra we are talking about. So heavy fines for discouraging, that such offense by traders, that got the idea, they should be penalized. So the heavy amount, license should be cancelled. It is that way we are talking about. Of course, severe punishment so that it acts as deterrence. Other should not think about repeating the same. We are talking about. So, that's Ardhashastra. Recognized the usual trading arrangements and prescribed the methods of resolving commercial disputes we are talking about. Even today, you got, that dispute redressal mechanism, arbitration, mediation, the trading arrangements, you got, variety of system in place, the same way you talk about, right? It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So, recommends that public servants, need to be closely monitored and supervised. Disciplinary action should be taken into account. The charges should be leveled. Non-performing officials should be thrown. See, in government situation, it's totally different. Even you don't like the system, you want to resign, you are not released. That happened, when I came out of government service, I resigned, but resignation was not accepted. Oh my God, that's all those things. The same thing that one Sagayam also, that happened the same thing. The system, corrupt system will not allow. They wait for, to take revenge, all those things, that all petty, small-minded people. We are talking about every way. So recommends that public servants need to be closely monitored and supervised. What will happen? So otherwise, the mechanism we are talking about, vigilance and anti-corruption department, everything. The adhikarana, the chief officer shall thoroughly scrutinize the real amount of work done, the receipts, that otherwise realized, and the expenditure incurred from the departmental work, that he talks about everything, the pakka bureaucracy, that system he talking about, bureaucratic mechanism, emphasizes both on fraud prevention and fraud detection, prevention and as well as detection. Prevention is better than cure. So that, that there should be strict vigilance, through various departments. King to appoint, that spies to watch over the goings, the going on in various departments, that. So, even today, intelligence bureau, raw, you got, that. So, state administration, central administration, you got, that. Pulanaivuthura, you call, na? CBI. You got, variety of, that being in such a way. Even today, that those days, Ardhashastra speaking about it, that it is that way. So, parallels between, Kautilya prescriptions and principles of, that the very public administration and corporate management. Even today, you witness, it's almost in a nutshell. You see, the Arthashastra lays emphasis on creating economic infrastructure. It's a nutshell what we discuss. It indicates, that areas of economy which needs state regulation, state control, state intervention, and broadly lays down the content, modalities, and personal regulation. So that's Arthashastra. That how the personal, the monitored, and that can, so that that you prevent fraud, detect fraud. We spoke just now. So it shows remarkable perception of market forces. That's fantastic. Now, actually, even they contemplated about that the inflation mechanism, export import, even the role of black market or hoarding, the price rise can commit. So recognizes the significance of public finances. So that should be that should not exceed 1/4 of the revenue. Yes, and also reducing non-planned expenditure otherwise. Fantastic, na? And also the official should be that given paid for their services, not given property. It is that way we are talking about. Having come to service, they take away everything. That's different scenario. So parallels between Kautilya's prescription and principle of administration, that's what we are discussing. Part 2, of course, describes elaborately the duties and functions of all functionaries from top to bottom of the monarchy. Got the idea, na? So it's a fantastic. That's why political treatise, which is equivalent to the Prince of Machiavelli. We're talking about the political realism. That economic governance is the end. For that, political governance is the means. That's what the essence. So system relied on both penalties and rewards as well. Social sanction, both positive and negative. Incentives, rewards. When you say incentives, some awards, some that it is that way. So prescribes rule for governing that private trade, that and commerce. We are talking about that it's talking about trade and commerce, the rules. Private trade, it's not private trade and commerce parallelly. It's not only government trade we are talking about. So it is that way. All these measures we discuss, and if you take into account the modern terms, maybe what Arthashastra wrote, I try to that link with the current reality. Of course, you can see in the nutshell that to sum up the topics, the means to strong nation building. So economic governance is the end, political governance is the mean. So means, but otherwise it's strong national building. So can be described in the modern terms how the rule of law. It spoke about rule of law, judicial system, property rights, incentives for the efficient and honest officials. Yes, and also promoting moral and spiritual welfare, and provision of infrastructure and capital formation. All modern values, that the elements that they found in the traditional source. You see the seed there itself. It is simply the change with continuity. It's not a breakdown, a paradigm. Of course, this resource we that found only in 20th century, though it was written those days of Mahada. Oh my God, it's that way. That is why Weber compares with Prince of Machiavelli. Ladies and gentlemen, this is right time. Let me take you to the next level. Of course, quotes. This is ultimately very very important part here. That you are asked questions in terms of quotes, asked to interpret the meaning. That's what you go through previous year questions. You will come to know the various quotes given by the Chanakya, Vishnugupta, Kautilya. That of that otherwise Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya, who wrote Arthashastra, political treatise of Mauryan administration. We are talking about it. So according this Chanakya Niti, the fragrance of the flower spreads only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of the person spreads in all directions. கற்றவருக்கு சென்ற இடமெல்லாம் சிறப்பு. யார் கற்றவர்? One who practices what he preaches. The mature, cultured, not civilized, cultured, ethical, people with integrity, honesty, compassionate, humanistic, sensitive. They're good people. Got the idea, na? Not only good, they're great people, if at all they have. So the fragrance of the flower spreads only in the direction of the wind, but whereas the goodness of the person spreads in all directions. But we also say parallelly different thing. More than whether the goodness on the part of the person comes out or not, it will take time. The bad about you will immediately spread. The negativity spreads faster than positivity. That's practical sense we are talking about. Of course, so this is what, of course, the goodness on the part of the person. This is about ethics, integrity in all directions. That see, when Obama became president of United States of America, he was interviewed by the media. And that he was asked by the media, said, if at all you want to dine with the people who are all no more, can you please tell me the two people? He said immediately, one Martin Luther King, another one Mahatma Gandhi. Even Lech Walesa of Poland, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Dissanayaka of Sri Lanka, African Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, you might be aware how that he made impact there. The goodness of the person spreads in all directions. India, land of Gandhi, land of Buddha. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi, not local corrupt Gandhis I am talking about, Mahatma Gandhi. Oh my God. So, but goodness of the person spreads in all directions we are talking about. That's fantastic. That Nyayutrai Kayyil Maraiparil. Nobody can stop. Definitely it will come out. Definitely it will come out. That's the point. So, never settle for anything less than what you deserve. No compromising attitude. Unwavering, that the commitment. That it's not a pride. It is self-respect. Hey, you demand more. You may be saying, I'm greedy. But, if I demand, more, you may be saying that, that you are greedy. You are ambitious. But let me say, this is my self-respect. If the self-respect is not served on plate, out. Never compromise. Never settle for anything, because that's what I say. Why do you fit in? Why do you fit in when you are born to stand out? Of course, you see the seed, Chanakya. Never settle for anything less. Never compromise when it comes to, never compromise ethics. When character goes, everything goes. What you are deserved, It's not someone deserving what you are deserving. You decide what what is best for you. It is not someone. If you don't work for your ambition, there are people waiting there outside, that so that you will start working for their own ambition. They will use you for building their own empire. Don't lose your self-respect. Never settle for anything less than what you are deserved, because that, come on, unleash your potential. There is a God in you, judge in you, conscience in you, unlimited potential, because you are part of the infinite energy. Why do you shrink? You deserve more. You deserve more. So it's not a pride. It is self-respect. Come on, see Chanakya. That is the attitude. That's why he came up with Ardhashastra. You just imagine. Maybe that he met the injustice at the hands of Nanda. That the royal feast. He took revenge by building empire. It is empire building process. For that you should have this attitude. That's what I said. It is empire building process. Never compromising attitude. Don't worry. Even if nobody is believing you, if you believe yourself, you will still reach the finishing line. You have to believe yourself. And don't say it's not possible. Impractical or impossibility is the vocabulary of the mediocre who does not want to take the responsibility of implementing. Let's talk about possibilities. Yes, it's not a pride, it is self-respect. When character goes, it's part of your character. When character goes, everything goes. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, see Chanakya, man is great not by birth, but by deeds. பிறப்புக்கும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும், திருவள்ளுவர். பிறப்புக்கும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும். திருவள்ளுவர் said, man is great not by birth. Your birth in a particular caste, particular religion, particular nationality, particular, that language, particular region is no way, that identity. Maybe that's, that just that locating factor. The value you are going to add, that's called esteem. Even your position in the protocol, whatever may be, that is just prestige. What the value you add to that status is called esteem, the very esteem. The esteem no way influenced by your, all those, that identity. It's on your own, by your karma, by your involvement, by your determination, strict adherence to the principles we are talking about. So man is great, women is great by deeds. Takkar, Tagavilar, Yenbardhan, Yetchatar Kanapadumna. What you leave, that's what I say. So learn, love, live, leave legacy. Learn, love, Live. It's not existing. Live. And leave. Leave legacy. That's possible only by your deeds, not by birth. பிறப்புக்கும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும். If anybody is feeling proud or if anybody is feeling inferior by birth, please don't do. Nobody is less. The very wisdom which created you, the same wisdom created everybody. We are all creations. There is only one creator. Nobody is less. Chanakya. Who said? Chanakya said. Man is great or women is great by deeds, not by birth. It is that way. Kya kaam karo? So we should not, fret for what is past. Nor should we be anxious about the future. Live in the moment. Live in the present. So the men of, discernment deal only with the present moment. Live up to the moment. Live up to the moment. Focus. Whatever you do, there should be 100% involvement, 100% devotion. It is not physically present, mentally absent somewhere. We don't want that. Then that will have, influence outcome accordingly. See the outcome, that will say whether you are involved or not, whether you involve yourself 100% or not. That's over. It's not living in the past. It's not worrying about the past. It's not fearing about, anxious about the future, but live in the moment. Do justice to every second. It is that way. Let us live up to the moment. So many people talking about, we should not feel, that pride in our charity or, how much I gave. No, that's what. If you feed poor and also, they take photograph and feed in the social network, you are not feeding the poor. You are feeding your ego. You want to promote yourself. Otherwise, you won't take video and post in the social network. There are so many guys, they do a lot of wonderful things. They're very humble. They never reveal. Even one person recently died in Coimbatore. The Shanti Social Service. Lot of trust activities. Very humble person, never comes to media publicity. There are guys, some politicians in Coimbatore, they are pasting wall poster as if they own Corona. Oh my God. Those second wave Corona should take them all. I'm talking about. We own Corona. Corona-வை வென்ற எங்கள் தலைவர் கொன்னொன்னும். அந்த கொரோனாவே கொல்லும் அவனை. அரசியல் பிழைத்தோருக்கு அறமே கூற்றாகும். சிலப்பதிகாரம் says. Oh my God. We should not feel, the pride in our charity. நாங்க எவ்வளவு simple தெரியுமா? Austerity. Not a show off, right? Valor, courage. And scriptural knowledge. என்ன அறிவு எனக்கு வந்து மோதிப்பார் சேலஞ்சுக்கு வரியா யார்கிட்ட பொட்டி வாங்கின you challenge another political party leader, maybe you got suitcase already. And modesty, that it's not feeling that the proud, that is even the Jainism, the Buddhism spoke about, they don't feel a proud arrogance that leads to arrogance. So modesty and morality for the world is full of that the rarest of gems. Be modest and morality, what is right. You got comfort, you can get comfort by this way, but choose right. What is right? Unassuming leadership. So when a flower flowering, a blossoming, of course flowering, for a particular plant, having done that, after its fragrance, through all directions, it falls away without causing disturbance to even the very plant. It's not I gave fragrance, I gave fragrance to everyone. It's not based on egoism. Unassuming leadership. And also, practicing modest path. It's not touching extremes. Modest people. The greatest people are very modest, humble, simple. Oh my God. Morality. For the world, you won't believe, that Swami Vivekananda, I read that story. Swami Vivekananda's guru, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. What he will do, the great saint is a great guru, greatest guru of that Swami Vivekananda. He answered the questions of Swami Vivekananda. Yeah, I see the God as I see in you with much intense. When Vivekananda asked, that have you seen God? And he gave Sparsha Diksha, everything, that. Whenever Ahankara comes, All meditation class, that they will say, we are going to put knife in your ahankara. Nanda, ego. Ego should go. The moment you know that you got ego, it's over. Nandan, Adindan. So all meditation class will say, we will put, that knife on your ahankar. So that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, what he used to do, there'll be a place where when, the downtrodden community people would have gone for bathroom, toilet activity. Not to feel superior than those downtrodden people, this Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to clean that particular place through his head. Are you aware of this? That story I read. So that you don't feel you are superior to someone. Oh my God, let all my ahankar go away. I got astonished. Will it happen ever? Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa cleaned the very, that the place, that you use for, that toilet purpose by the downtrodden caste people. That he used his head to clean that place. Oh my God, there should not, nobody is less to not to have ahankar. Oh my God, that and all things, that you come to know. Once you come to know, so we are nothing. Okay, you will come to know, that. So even Socrates say, we knew nothing. The very great people will say, I know nothing. The humbleness is that way, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. So let him drive away all the ignorance of all these people. Hate the sin, not the sinner. In spite of that, of course, come back. What is the point? The modesty and morality, the Chanakya emphasis we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, God is not present in idols. Your feelings are your God. You are the God because God is in you. Because you are part of the Almighty. You are part of that infinite. You are unstoppable. Unleash your potential. But by nature, you are the, that's what, various contribution. By nature, you are the happiest person. By nature, even Swami Vivekananda says, by nature, you are spiritual being, but you undergo human experience. It's not by, that may be ritual and that may be first step so that you get some conceptualization. But don't stick to that mere ritual and ceremony. Understand the purpose. People say, nah, they want to have some thought process, nah, to conceptualize, all these idols created. But there are some religions without idol worship. You might be, even Islam. You might be. So God is not present. It is a symbolic representation. That's all. It is you created as if the stone or plant has got some power in that. Then you started worshipping. The religion is all about collective representation. Where people come together and assume that as if it has got faith in it. They develop faith. They attribute some power in that. It's a collective representation. Religion is nothing but society transfigured by faith, we say. We come together, we attribute, then we start venerating. நீ கொடுத்த கல்கூட செங்கல் சாமி ஒரு வார்த்தை பேச ஒரு நிமிஷம் காத்திரு. I think that's a song. நீ கொடுத்த கல்கூட, even your brick, the brick what you gave, it has become that my God, because you put some ultimately that some vermilion, everything, ultimately you start worshipping. Even that the cow dung you take ultimately புடிச்சு வச்சா புள்ளையாரு, then you start worshipping. மண்ணை எடுத்து a bunch of that soil, you start worshipping. We attribute and we venerate. It's a symbolic worship, that's all. But what is the point ultimately? You have to understand. It's that should not get reduced to mere rituals and ceremonies. That's very important. Your feelings are, that when your feelings are your God. What feelings? Ethical feelings. Godliness. You got boson particle in you. You should be man of integrity, women of integrity, never compromising attitude. Because you have to understand, that you by doing that, you add value to the soul. Because you came here with, the Jivatma came with a purpose. Once the purpose is done, going to join the Paramatma. Well, the feelings that, you are part of the infinite, you are part of the God, because there is a God in you. That's getting reflected in terms of your activities, integrity, the honesty, the goodness. We are talking about the soul. That the soul is your temple. We are talking about your soul. That there was one person, who built temple in his own heart. It is that way, that we hear. Your soul is your temple. Your body, that ultimately, you preserve that particular temple through your body. You add value to the soul by your feelings, right feelings, ethical feelings. So, that God, it's not, of course, idols, temples, everything, the external world, maybe, that the symbol. But, that Chanakya was very clean. So, shun away all those rituals and ceremonies, rather understand the core purpose. That's the meaning. He communicates. Of course, we are talking about. So, as soon as the fear approaches near, attack and destroy. I want to do it because I'm afraid of this. You would have watched Karate Kid, na? So that small kid, Will Smith's son, well, that guy will say, because I'm afraid of them. I want to attack them. I want to learn karate. I want to win over because I'm afraid of them. As long as you are fearful, that will threaten you. You have to run. You have to face it. It's not escaping from reality. As soon as the fear approaches near, attack and destroy it. Come on, you have to do something. You attack and destroy it. It's not escaping from the reality. Face the challenges. That demands courage, ready to face any consequences. Even if you fail, learn out of it. We're talking about all that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you in. What is that? Even if a snake is not, poisonous, it should pretend to be venomous. Show your boundary. Even if a snake is not poisonous, otherwise people will take it for granted. Otnadan telu, kottanadan pambu. Otherwise people will take it for granted. You have to show your boundary then and there. It is that way. People should not take you for granted. So even if the snake is not poisonous, you should pretend that, to be venomous. Otherwise, there are people waiting there to exploit you. So beware of exploitation. That way. So test a servant while in the discharge of his duty. If you want to know the character of servant, that is he discharging his duty properly, as expected, with loyalty, integrity, with the so-called intelligence and energy. A relative, when you are in trouble, you will understand who are all your relatives. Otherwise, relatives, they themselves cause difficulty to you. That's different scenario. That's what I've seen relatives in my life. They themselves will cause all-round difficulty, put you in trouble, and finally, that they'll make you feel miserable. That will also happen. Oh my God! So that is other. There is a saying, that பணக்காரன் சொந்தக்காரனா இருக்கணும், சொந்தக்காரன் பணக்காரனா ஆயிடக்கூடாது. பெரியாள் தெரிஞ்சவனா இருக்கணும், ஆனா தெரிஞ்சவன் பெரியாள் ஆயிடக்கூடாது. The jealousy we are talking about. A relative, you will come to know the true color of relative when you are in difficulty. But what about the relative themselves making you, presenting you all difficulty? So you have to be very careful. A friend in adversity. In adversarial, the situation, a friend in need is a friend in need. But I definitely, it's true. I really enjoyed, support from my friends. I've got a lot of wonderful friends. It's that way, that your wife in misfortune, that whenever, that you're not having proper fortune, that I'm blessed with this also, I'm talking about. So, that I've got, that the friend in adversity, I've got, that you may have different experience. I'm not saying Chanakya, the test a servant. If you want to know the real character of servant, how he is discharging the, the delegated duty, the relative when you are in difficult situation, friend when you face, adversarial situation, a wife in misfortune, when you are nothing, how your partner handles you. That's important. When you have everything, you will get you can make a lot of wives also. When you are nothing, how your wife is dealing with you, how she treats you. But when you have everything, when you have everything, everybody will come. When you have nothing, even your own, partner. So, Chanakya, oh my God, that's why he's the greatest personality we are talking about. So, the biggest guru mantra, never share your secrets with anybody. Avladhan, sonnina gali. The moment you, make it open, it's over. It will destroy you. You never share your secrets with anybody because that will destroy you. You never share your, that big goals with anybody. The outside force will scuttle you. There are guys, all கூடவே இருப்பான். நீ எப்போ விழுவேன்னு எதிர்பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பான். There are guys waiting there out, they want to see, that you have to fall down. They want to see you get defeated. So better don't share your secrets. Win first. Let them learn. Let them know. Let your actions speak louder than your words. That's important. That's important. That. So the moment the secret goes out, that you are vulnerable over there. That way, never share your secrets. See, Guru Mantra. Keep it, try to play close to your chest. So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about, it is that way. A person should not be too honest. See, having talked about 40 types of, corruption, if you are too honest, straight trees are cut first. Oh my God, it is that way. So even the government officials, that they are, for all political corruptions, officials will become scapegoat. That's what happening everywhere. So when opposition party questioning, they will suspend one guy. As if, this guy, that great Harichandra. Array. It is that way. So a person should not be too honest. Straight trees are cut first. And honest people are screwed first. I think, Sagayam screwed first. Rupa, Ashok Kimka, a lot of people, But that there are guys surviving everywhere. They know, meh, meh. Don't do me. That we say, that by psychophancy, by Moravasal, by disloyal to the government, loyal to their own political masters. Disloyal to the core, to the people, but loyal to political master. They survive that way. I'm not talking about them. Oh my God. So a person should not be too honest. Straight trees are cut first. Even the very, that thorn you might be aware. When you walk, when thorn is like this, with your shoe, it may cut. But when the thorn is like this, straight away, they penetrate your leg, the sole, foot. வணங்கன முள் தான் தைக்கும், எங்க அம்மா சொல்லுவாங்க. வணங்கன முள் தான் தைக்கும், நேரா இருக்கிற முள் உடஞ்சிடும் சிம்பிள். Humble, stay humble, stay grounded. அப்படியே வெறப்பா நிக்காதடா அப்படிம்பாங்க. Oh my God, a person should not be too honest, but he links with honesty. Very Chanakya, because they are taken to the task first. All these things, that, it is that way, but it's a fact. It's a fact, social fact. Life, a philosophy. Education is the best friend. An educated person is respected everywhere. Education beats the beauty and the youth. Very well. We are talking about, Socrates. Even very Chanakya, that he had a lot of, that some body deformation. That's why he was, that made mockery, the royal feast of Nanda dynasty. He took revenge. He founded Maurya kingdom. His real experience. Education is the solution. Educated person respected everywhere. Even Abraham Lincoln. That can beat, the Bahut Sundar hai, Khubsurat hai. Mat karo. Even the youthfulness. Old is gold. So maybe, evergreen. You become, that evergreen. You command resources wherever you go by your knowledge, by your wisdom, by your deeds, by your integrity, by your character, than this outward appearance. It's ephemeral. It's not long lasting. But education is long lasting, permanent value. This is impermanent. The outward appearance will not long last. It's that way, that it won't. But this stays with you. This stays with you. That people, that is what maturity. That by outer beauty, they don't get misled. By, the youthfulness, that will go off one day, fine one. You can't be youth, that's the age, that's a maturity. You have to accept. But education, it becomes more mature day by day. When you are very keen in educating yourself, you are respected everywhere. All these things will go. All these things. I don't know how Rajinikanth at this age, that the making with all makeup, making 35 years old, people are very happy watching. But reality is different. But people, that get used to, they want to see him. They got addicted to see him with that appearance. The whole industry plays with that. Oh my God, it is that way. Oh, it is that way. That you want then you want to believe that lie. You don't want to believe the truth. You want to believe that lie alone. You are very happy, comfortable in believing that lie. Reality bites, na nijam sudum. So books are that as useful to or as useful to a stupid person as mirror is useful to the blind person. That stupid person not needed books, blind person not needed mirror. If you're stupid, you don't want book. If you're a very clever person, if you want to be scholastic, if you're a man of wisdom, women of wisdom, definitely that's what I say. Minimum one book you have to read per month. A leader is a reader, voracious reader. A leader is a good writer too. Are you aware? A leader knows if you start respecting time, if you respect the time, what's okay, let it be. If you respect the time will cherish you. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, let me take you next level. Yes, time perfects men as well as they destroy them. Have we cleared? Have we yeah, that's fantastic. That's enough. So that it emphasizes that role of accumulating knowledge. That way, role of emphasizing. You should be as a leader. You should be a reader, voracious reader. That gather knowledge, accumulate knowledge. It is that time perfects men as well as destroys them. Time is the solution. Nothing is absolutely correct. Nothing is absolutely wrong. Kalam dan badal solo. Everything you are on right time. You are not late. You are not fast. You are on time. You don't worry. That is a saying actually. During rainy season, all that when the flood comes, all small creatures will come. So what will happen? The birds, that all birds, everything will come and eat away the small creatures, coming in the flooding. But when the bird dies, these small creatures eating them. When the bird dies, these small creatures will be eating the dead birds. Are you aware? The same way, you eat everything that you get out of the plant of the earth. Vegetables, fruits, or that all animals depending on that. You eat everything comes out of the plant of the earth. Don't worry. The very plant of the earth is also waiting. The moment we die, to eat when we are buried. Maybe even the very ash. Only time. It is a cycle. Birth, growth, decay, death. Birth, growth, decay, death. Birth, growth, decay, death. Birth, growth, decay, death. Time perfects men as well as perfects. Your perfects, wonderful, fantastic. Will also destroy over the days. Let's understand this reality. Nothing is permanent. This too shall pass. Yeduvam nirandaramalla. You came with nothing, you go with nothing. Of course, so once you start working on something, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of failure. That the fear of failure should not be there. Once you start working on something, don't be afraid of failure and don't abandon it. People who work sincerely are the happiest. Because it goes with Nishkama Karma, Bhagavad Gita essence. It's not thinking of, of course, there is a saying, keep the end in mind. That's different. It's not always thinking about outcome. You do something. Will it give this much outcome? That thing, this thing. So what? So do your duty. You can't escape from the consequences. So your happiness should be in renunciation in work, not renunciation of work. This is what Bhagavad Gita essence, Nishkama Karma. So once you start working on something, don't be afraid of failure. Whatever may be. Even come on, fail. So what? Fail big. Even Denzel Washington, that video you would have watched. Fail big. Learn big. Fail big. Come on. So what? Don't abandon it. The point is, don't be afraid of failure and don't give up. Even if it is going to be failure. In Kadan Pani Said the Katapadi, let me try. Have I made enough efforts? At least I will get the satisfaction. What is the point? So people who work sincerely are the happiest. Karma yogi. Sincerely. It's not waiting for anybody endorsement. The people will change. All right things may not be popular. All popular things may not be right also. It's not waiting for somebody else's endorsement. It's not for likes. It's not for views. The real thing, that will stand the test of times. If not today, tomorrow. That demands passions. As long as your work, that you do honest work, sincere attempt. If not today, tomorrow. But don't worry about all those things. But only thing, you should not compromise in what you contribute, what you do. That's important. Of course, these are all what we talk. Relevant to the management, relevant to the practical way of living, ethical way of living, motivating individuals and establishing government and showing the way how to run the state and keeping, that economic governance as the end and political governance as the means. Ardhashastra, wow, fantastic. Harish, come on, that it is that way, that ladies and gentlemen. So no penance is greater than one, that done for maintaining peace. No penance is greater, than maintaining peace. No peace is better than, that one received from satisfaction. And no disease is more damaging than, that the greed. So greed will destroy you than your disease. Got the idea, na? So, what is the use? That it is, if there is no satisfaction, what is the use of peace? That, it is that way, connectivity. No dharma is better than the one having all compassion for all. See, the all value system of ethics, compassion, dharma, of course, that it expects you to balance need versus greed. Your satisfaction is very important. The peace, all values of ethical values, you see the quote. You're talking about it is that way. Oh my God, that it is that way, ladies and gentlemen. I think, you got all these quotes maybe posed as a question. It is that way. I want you to, because, that you can work on it. 1 second. Second. Yeah, that's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, I made your time worthwhile, that you participated, that I appreciate your passions too. In the, that you can, that hitherto, that the line of, that the contribution from thinkers, philosophers, social scientists and different religions, ladies and gentlemen, how they enrich the subject matter ethics and integrity. We discussed variety, that of sessions. You please watch those videos. And I hope, I would have made difference, that especially through, the Chanakya's Ardhashastra, the political treatise of Mauryan administration, which was compared with, that the Prince Machiavelli, that as by, the Max Weber, you might be aware, even the former national security advisor, the Shivasankara man, gone to the extent of appreciating Ardhashastra, how it was quite relevant and pragmatic, that for strategic affairs, you might be aware. And cutting across variety of spheres, the very multifaceted personality. Of course, the Kautilya, Vishnugupta, Chanakya, that the very prime minister of Mauryan administration, that you shared, and also we discussed, the quotes too, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure you would have benefited out of my session, ladies and gentlemen. And that you please also, that take this to the next level. It's my humble attempt, ladies and gentlemen. And you can also, take it to the next level by, the referring the basic books like this, that, and also Ethics and Integrity, Subbarao, and also, that the lexicon, and also, that Ramesh Arora, for the whole syllabus I'm talking about. The second Administrative Reform Commission report, fourth report, 10th report, 11th report, we are talking about it. You please go through all those things, ladies and gentlemen. Let me appreciate you once again, for your passions and involvement. I think it is right time. Please, that use my referral code to avail 10% discount. Please go for iconic program, because great things will take time. This is the empire building process. You're going to be part of, that the steel pillars of Indian administration, as civil servant of India, as IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, for the next 25 to 30 years of wonderful career. Please devote your minimum 2 years. There is no process, no product. Of course, this will demand your passions and passion. So please join iconic program for 2 years minimum, especially because 1 year for preparation, 1 year for the pattern of examination. Hope you are aware. And we got, 2021, 2022, 2023, the batches. We are starting, that 11th January, as I told you, variety of teams, we top educators with subject matter expertise, 25 to 30 years of experience, not 20, that's too much, 20 to 25 years of experience in the chosen field. Please, you can make use of, that all the, that opportunity is part of Unacademy platform. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciating your participation. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Let's meet tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'm sorry. The tomorrow is break for me. Of course, Monday we can meet again the same time, 5 to 8, with another topic. May the Almighty God, that enlighten us to move to the next level. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you so much. Happy weekend. This is Success Sampath signing off from you. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.